Hi, folks. Hey, welcome wherever you are. Welcome to another space with me, Kaluaja. This is our weekly money spaces where we talk about money, the economy, and of course, personal finance. And the whole idea is to make it personal to you. We want to relate economics back to your individual wallet. So when we talk topics, we want to make it relatable. How does it affect your wallet? And this should be the last Saturday, right, before we have the new president sworn in Nigeria. So this is the end, should we say, of the Muhammadu Buhari administration. He's been here for about 8 years from 2015. So the question on the table today is, what has been the economic legacy since 2015 up to date? Let me make it sound better this way. If you were an investor in the market, where should you have put money in 2015 in hindsight? Where should you have invested? What policies, internal policies, should you have done, right, to make money for yourself in 2023? We've all seen the results of 8 years of Buhari, but we haven't really introspected and asked ourselves, what should we have done to react when we saw these policies, And the whole idea is we want to make sure that we are able to understand policy and then to take corrective action on our individual portfolios. So if you are coming here to, dump on the president, this is not that kind of space. We want to learn what did they do right? So how can we take advantage? What did they do wrong? So we also learn corrective action. And that's really what the space is. Let me start. Let me start by giving you my own how I look at it. So in 2015, when President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan handed over to Buhari, there was this famous chart by CNN. I don't know if you guys remember that chart by CNN, where they listed the top 3 emerging investment destinations in the world. I think the first one was, I think it was somewhere in the Middle East or so. But that chart had Nigeria as number 3. And that was a tweet by CNN, and that went around the world, right? And Nigeria was among the top 3 investment destinations on earth. And if you marry that onto the other stats or the other issues that have gone in Nigeria, where the Nigerian bonds were the second bond from sub-Saharan Africa to be included in the JP Morgan bond index, also in the Barclays bond index, that meant that if you are going to invest in the emerging market in sub-Saharan Africa, you had to buy Nigerian bonds by default. You can also tie that in that the World Economic Forum had been held in Abuja in Nigeria. Nigeria seemed to be on an upward trajectory. And we seem to have an election in 2015 that was very smooth. There was a handover. There was no acrimony. The president handed over and all that. So the world was looking forward to Nigeria, taking her rightful place, as we always say that term we always use in economics, and to make Nigeria this, giant of Africa economically. And I remember when the president went to the G7, he was went to the G7 and to the G20, that was President Buhari. They told him, hey, we want to work with you, drop a list on how we can work with you. How can we support Nigeria to get this party going, right? This economic party going. And that was it. It took us 6 months. 6 months, like 6 months. A month is 30 days. So 30 times 6, right? To appoint a cabinet. And that was so much inertia, so much of, time was lost in trying to appoint quote unquote angels. Or that was the excuse back then. 6 months, no cabinet. So all those opportunities that we should have chased down, if we had a cabinet, we lost them. But the major thing, the major mistake I believe the Buhari administration made was when it took over in 2015, oil prices were crashing. There was a kind of a recession and oil prices were really, really going down. And when Buhari took over, oil subsidies, i.e. the PMS subsidies, were eaten into the budget. Not as bad, but were eaten into the budget. Also, they did not have enough money to pay or to execute major infrastructure projects. They had to go borrow from China. So it wasn't rocket science to say, hey, let's scrap this fuel subsidy, because the past president had tried to scrap the fuel subsidy, but was rejected. and had only scrapped 50% and set up something called P. And P was taking the savings from fuel subsidy and investing in critical infrastructure. So when oil prices were falling, that was a godsend to the new President Buhari. All he could have done was to scrap the fuel subsidy and then take those savings and invest in his social welfare programs and even infrastructure. That was his plan right there. But he did the opposite. As fuel subsidies crashed, they did not remove the subsidies. And they did the fatal mistake of fixing the naira, i.e., capital controls. They locked in the naira to an exchange rate set by the Central Bank of Nigeria. So what that meant was that the central bank subsidized the naira and eventually subsidized imports. So if you then play that scenario from 2015 to date, imports into Nigeria have been subsidized because the Central Bank of Nigeria has defended a very strong naira, right? So industries in Nigeria can't cope. If I'm subsidizing imports, then the local manufacturers in Nigeria cannot cope. And that's what you've had from 2015 to date, the naira fall from 116 to now about 750, because the structure has been wrong. We are exporting, but we are subsidizing a strong naira. It should be the other way around. If we're exporting, then we want a very, very weak naira, so we get more naira in to invest in infrastructure. We didn't do that. Then the fuel subsidy, we kept the fuel subsidy when fuel prices were low, when we should have taken them off. And when oil prices went high, we still retain the subsidy, which meant that, as the Central Bank of Governors said, Nigeria does not get any income from the sale of crude oil. Let me say it again. Central Bank of Nigerian Governors said, when Nigeria sells crude oil, we don't get the revenues coming to the budget, i.e. coming to the FAC. Why? Because the revenues from crude oil are used by the NNPC Limited to pay for subsidy. So think about Nigeria as an oil exporting nation, but the revenues from oil exports do not come back to Nigeria to invest in the Nigerian economy. And this is collaborated by JP Morgan, advising their bankers that they should not hold Nigerian bonds because Nigerian government has not remitted proceeds from the sale of crude oil into the JP Morgan account. If you're not aware, oil sales for Nigeria are banked with JP Morgan. So JP Morgan had this internal memo to their investors saying every oil exporting nation has benefited from the quote-unquote rise in the price of Russia-Ukraine war. Only Nigeria has not remitted funds into the budget. So that sets the stage for a country that is exporting crude oil but no remittances, that now has to borrow but is also subsidizing the naira. If you put all this together, you would then see that the best investment you could have done if you were a Nigerian was simply to have taken all your naira earnings and just buy dollar. Don't put it in the bank. Don't buy a house. Just take every naira currency you can get your hands on and just have bought dollar from 2015, 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and just sell. Just buy when it's low and sell when it's high. You'd have made a return far in excess of any industry because you have no cost of sales. Your only cost of sales is how much naira you can get. Literally, if you sold all your properties, sold everything, sold your car, sold all that you owned, and bought dollar in 2017, and you sold that dollar today, you'd buy a Mercedes-Benz, buy a new house in Lekki, literally, for doing nothing by just waiting. If you simply worked for anybody and you just made your revenues and you just live the hermit life and you just bought and sold dollar. And that just shows you that when an economy can make you rich from doing nothing productive, the structure is wrong. And I think is the biggest failing of the Buhari admin for me today, that they kept the peg, the naira dollar peg, and they refused to remove the PMS subsidy. So for me, my insight is that if I see a government coming in 2023 that wants to peg naira, that wants to subsidize naira, that wants to do all those social programs, I'm just going to go and buy dollar. That's for me. The other part, let's talk about what did they do good? What did the Buhari admin do well? There was this thing about they had no money for infrastructure. So they were very, very smart in that they passed this new infrastructure credit. If you want to speak, guys, request I'll add you to speak. They passed this new infrastructure credit where they said the private sector could invest in infrastructure. I found out that be very innovative and also very, very, instructive, that they knew they didn't have funds and they allowed the private sector to build funds. I mean, who needs to take the glory, but allow the private sector go ahead and build and get the infrastructure pathway going. That was very good that they did it, and the results are also out there. They also, I would say, oh my God, I don't know how to say this one. Nigerian labor unions have been, in my own personal view, a big fraud. I don't think they do anything. They're only there to fight for the issues that are that give them publicity so that they can then be, quote unquote, bought away. I think Buhari exposed the labor unions as being effectual, hollow, and weak. I mean, have you heard of Nigerian Labour Congress? But I can bet you, once a new guy comes, they're going to organize one strike to test him and see if they can become relevant. Did nobody heard of NLC throughout the 8 years? Did you hear of NLC striking for any fuel, whatever? Before, in the past, if federal government walks the wrong way, NLC will go on strike, shut down the whole nation. Did you hear it 2015 to date? So those two, for me, the labor union decapping and the infrastructure bill, I think they did that well. What were the missed opportunities? I think the agri sector investment by the Central Bank of Nigeria, that initiative was very good, was very, very well thought out to give the agricultural sector cheap loans so that they could then grow food, right? But I think the only problem was that the central bank was trying to use monetary means alone, right, to develop agriculture. Agriculture in Nigeria is really a security issue, not an economic issue. It's insecurity. Because you really can't do mechanized agriculture in Nigeria where you have in the north and the middle belt without security. And for some reason, we weren't able to defeat bandits. And Boko Haram is a different matter. Maybe they're ISIS. But bandits within the borders, we were unable to defeat them. I mean, Boko Haram, you say they go to Cameroon, they go to Niger, they are cross international territories. But guys that live within the borders of Nigeria, we weren't able to defeat them. The only time I saw the president wear army fatigues, the only time in 8 years, was when he went to the operation, and I think it was in Zamfara, way back then, to stop the guys that were rustling cattle. They deployed the special forces, the Navy, the Air Force, the Army, and still they weren't able to stop them. This was way back 2016, 2015. And those guys have simply grown in power till today. So who would have believed that General Buhari, the one we had that traced down the Chadian rebels all the way to whatever, cannot defeat bandits within Nigeria? And that has been the cause of the high food prices. And that has been the cause of the low agricultural contribution GDP. Because even if you give a farmer $1 billion, if the farmer can't convert that $1 billion to seeds and plants, you're not going to get output. Agriculture is so important because food prices is what drives inflation. If you are able to bring down food prices, you defeat inflation. It's not really Naira chasing goods in Nigeria's case. It's high prices of food in Nigeria. If you can bring down the price of food in Nigeria, you defeated inflation. So that's an opportunity that the federal government, i.e. the fiscal and the monetary and the security forces, should have come together to fight the menace of banditry. So agriculture should have taken a big hold. The president told the youths, go back to the farms. The youth went to the farms and got killed, right? So it's really, that was really one that they should have. The president being a farmer, quote unquote, livestock farmer, I think he dropped the ball on that. But it was a good initiative to do real lending to the agri sector that they did not take advantage of. And of course, the biggest boo-boo there was to closing the borders because you want to grow food. That makes no sense, to close a border because you want to grow food. Let me stop here, guys. I mean, I have lots to talk. I can talk about. Let me hear from you guys. I would like to talk about the international side, also where we lost some opportunities and where we could have done better. So let me check my DMs as usual. That's where I usually get the comments. People don't I'm very, very shy about speaking on on Twitter. So let me go to the DM. So someone's asking, this is not related, but someone's asking me, what does it mean if they want to, I've read this before, unify the forex system? The government is saying they want to unify the forex system. Okay, I think I already answered this one good question. The government we are hearing wants to have a single exchange rate for naira to dollar. What does it mean? It simply means they're going to devalue. So all that big English simply means devalue. In any economy, when you see a black market rate, the black market rate is the real rate, not the government rate. The black market rate is the real rate. So when the government says they are going to eliminate the black market, it simply means they're going to devalue the official rate to match the black market rate. So the black market rate goes away. If you want to kill the guys that are doing naira exchange, you simply make naira 700 naira. Then nobody will go to them. Why would I take cash and go to the streets of any city when I can go to my bank and get the same cash safer at 755? So once you devalue the naira, then the black market goes away because nobody will go there. And what will happen tomorrow? Dollars will inflow into Nigeria. Where would the dollars come from? From Nigeria. I told you guys there's 10 to 20 billion dollars in cash sitting inside Nigeria in the vaults, in dorm accounts, in people's pockets in Nigeria. Why is that dollar not in the banks? Because if you take your dollars to the banks will pay your official rate, blah, blah, blah. So what people do is people informally hold dollars and sell at the informal rates to those guys that you buy from because there are two rates. So why would I sell at 400 when I can sell at 700? Makes no sense, almost 3 naira difference. But if you equalize the exchange rate, then the black market disappears and dollars would inflow because all those guys holding dollars in their dorm account, what are they holding it for? They rather sell it and make money because they bought it at less than 400 to make money. Because if you hold it, you lose money. If dollars inflow into Nigeria, dollars will crash. So the irony is this: if you defend the naira will get weak. But if you devalue the naira, it actually gets stronger. That's the irony. If you make the naira, if you say you can bring naira at any price, at any price, then naira will flow from abroad to Nigeria because the guys flowing money from abroad know they can get a better price. So it's counterintuitive to say you want to defend naira at 450, 750. Nobody will sell to you at 450. Big Daddy, what's happening, man? Thanks for hopping into the queue. So I hope I answered that question on what a single rate means. Single rate simply means devalue. Do I think they'll devalue to 700? They may not, but that's what it means. Big Daddy, you got the floor. Go ahead.
Yeah, Carlo, good evening, everybody. Thank you for having this space once more. I missed the last space.
You did?
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, I think that was aired on Sunday last week, right?
Yes, we alternate some days, Saturday and Sundays. Yeah. But it's recorded. Good for you. It's recorded. The podcast is a record. Go to my handle. You see the address there. You can grab the recording and listen to it anytime.
Yep. I was hoping it was going to be today's space was going to be about Dangote refinery, but
you can say anything you want to say. Yeah, the Dangote refinery. I'm trying to do a little panel of people that can come and talk around. I don't want the expert people. I just want the people that can talk every day. Like Dangote refinery. Go ahead and ask a question. I'll continue. Go ahead and ask a question.
Just majority. I want to talk about the topic essentially because I'm one of those people who never believed in Buhari's economic policies right from day one.
Okay.
And from 2015, I was never a supporter of it. I never believed in him, but I was praying and hoping he delivered. As a progressive person, I had that mindset. But as it turned out to be, it's below expectations. Below expectations when you start from his promises. I was trying to look for one of his promises, like a 7-point promises that he made, and I can still remember those posters. He said 2 million jobs. Is it 2 million jobs yearly? 5,000 naira to youths, unemployed youths.
Yeah.
Then make dollar equals to naira equals to the dollar. So there were those very fancy promises that he made that I'm not sure himself were aware that these things were being sold to Nigerian populace.
Sure.
And that was one of the benchmarks that a lot of persons picked up and as a measurement to his own performance, essentially. And the issue of corruption was there because that was a major mantra that he came. Yes, we could agree that the previous administration did not do so much when it comes to corruption and the security issues. For me, if I want to score Buhari in terms of his performance, in terms of security, he tried. At least there's no bomb scare as it was before the previous administration. And also in terms of corruption, of course, it's still there. Just that it's not widely known or overblown by a better opposition like they were in the previous administration. That's where I think it's not as if he did so well in it, but it's not so purported or so much propaganda. And these are issues that people have kept asking, that the promises you made and you didn't live up to expectation. One especially when I knew the first administration was going to be a disaster. Like you rightly mentioned, that it took 6 months to appoint a cabinet. That is total failure for me. It's like you leaving your manual car putting on a gear, and there's nobody on the steering. It will just roll into the bush. So you can't be everywhere. Honestly, you can't leave. So it just simply means that there was no strategic planning. There was no economic roadmap, or there was no proper planning in coming into a government. And that this is a trend for each government that has come in. You develop a manifesto just because of campaign, not because of governance. That's the first issues that we are having in Nigeria. Okay, look at the states, the 36 states of the Federation. They have made promises. How many governors had a manifesto, and the state people who live there saw this manifesto, and this manifesto is going to be a roadmap. I'm following this guy very well in Abia, Alex Uti, and the roadmap, the transition committee he has set up, and the caliber of people he has put into it, and they have developed a framework for him. Let's hope he follows that framework. However, other states I've seen are just snapping pictures and pasting on social media that they are not even started knowing what to do or even have an economic policy in place that would drive economic growth in those states. Because essentially we are looking at federal. Yes, federal, of course, that's the capital problem. The states themselves are not driving development in Nigeria.
Yeah, Peter, I hear you. I don't want to get to I hear you. See, one thing again that I think if you go back to 2015, the APC guys, that was an SPV that was created for just one purpose, and that was to win an election. I think when they won the election, they then said, okay, let's drop the economic plan. The election in 2015 was a very, very funny one, in that it was almost like Buhari was going to win. It didn't matter what, that famous poster, even if you show us picture of Buhari and Tinubu taking cash from people are not interested in economic plan. People are like, we don't want good luck. He has failed. He has to go. And I'm not going to debate that, but that was the mindset. So there was nothing. I mean, the PDP postponed the elections and all that, but it was, the writing was on the wall. It was inevitable that the Buhari guys were going to win unless the good luck guys did something crazy, which they didn't do. They tried, but they didn't do. So when they then came to power, in my mind, I believe they tried to write an economic plan, but they came across a rock called Buhari. There was a very famous the former governor of Ekiti, Kade Fayemi. Kade Fayemi went to Lagos Business School, and he gave a presentation at the Lagos Business School on what the Buhari economic plan would be. I remember that article. I wrote about that article. I had never been so happy when I saw that article. I mean, the guy covered economics, socioeconomics. They said in that article that Fayemi wrote that we're going to scrap state of origin and replace it with state of residence. They said we're going to scrap the fuel subsidy, do sovereign wealth fund, get seed capital. It was like a wish list of technocrat things that we are going to move Nigeria forward. We're going to review Land Use Act. If you read that document, try and Google it. Kade Fayemi, was Lagos Business School. It was perfect. I was like, wow. So Buhari has come. I knew it wasn't too good on the economy, but I knew that he had the capital. Buhari is one of the few Nigerians that had the economic capital to take major decisions in Nigeria and get away with it. Only Buhari can remove fuel subsidy, and fuel will go to 1,000 naira liter, and nothing will happen to him. Only a few guys can do it. He's one of them. So I was like, wow, these guys are really going to do business. And after that presentation, we waited 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, like that. Then, and the UK guys were also, the guys in G7, they were also, they had also seen this guy had won a quote-unquote landslide election. He went to the White House. Remember, there was issue about the White House also helping him to win in Nigeria and all that. He went to the White House. Obama saw him. He went to G7. They all saw him, and they were expecting, hey, the way the Ukraine guy, the way the president of Ukraine is going around the world was what I expected. Yeah, that's what happened to Buhari too when Buhari won. Buhari will go here, G7 will invite him. He went to the UN. UN said, hey, Northeast, we're going to do a special plan for the northeast of Nigeria because Boko Haram has been decimating you guys. Come back with a plan. I'm not sure if a plan was submitted. There's a lot of goodwill around Buhari presidency, even down home in Nigeria. The famous body language. People are mocking body language, but in economics, body language is sentiment. Consumer sentiment is tracked. And if consumer sentiment is high, correct. So in America, they track business sentiment. And in Nigeria, after 2015, the business sentiment was very high. People were like, Buhari has come, things are going to get better. So much so that the power supply actually improved.
Remember in 2015, the bond, we talked about the bond prices, and there was a spike in increase of
that is true.
After he won, there was an increase, even the exchange rate changed.
And this is factual. When Buhari won the presidency in 2015, the stock market went up. Bond yields in Nigeria. Bond yields in Nigeria came down. So because people expected there was going to be a boom, there's going to be investment, and the market is never wrong. The market said this guy is going to do right. So they invested in Buhari, and all that goodwill got dissipated with the capital controls and all that. So that's where I want us to focus. So as that happened now, and you were Nigerian, so many Nigerians then got before 2015, the Japa was the other way. There were Nigerians leaving the US and the UK, coming back to Nigeria to take up opportunities in Nigeria. So many of them were coming back here. Now it's a torrent of people leaving Nigeria to go abroad. So lots of things happen. I mean, I'm not here to dump on the guy, but it was an issue of the president not taking advantage of opportunities that came to him. The removing the fuel subsidy, closing the borders, not defending the Naira, and all these things were done because Mr. Buhari was not really an economic guy. So the guys that were around him were giving him very bad advice. Do you know the export-import window that is now we're now surviving in Nigeria without the import-export window? I know what Nigeria have been. That was done when Vice President Shibanjo was the acting president. If Buhari was around, I don't think we would have ever devalued. The import-export window is a sort of devaluation of the Naira, and that sort of stabilized the economy for a while. If Shibanjo had not done that, I doubt Buhari would have done that. So Naira today would have been 150 Naira to $1 officially, maybe. Then who would have brought money to Nigeria? The big that is, let me.
Yeah. You are totally right, right? The success of any government is the people you bring around you. If you talk to, there's a time we're talking about the economic committee of Obasanjo and comparing about those in Buhari's administration. And some following in Twitter space, I think at the space I joined or about the tweet I saw. And you look at probably the caliber of people who were in successive government compared to the one we have today. And when Buhari took so much time to appoint ministers, there were no steering committees, there was nothing working, just normal, everywhere was like a normal civil service commission that just move files around without no strategic plan. I think that is one of the places I felt he lost it. Secondly, when you talk about the border closure, to him, yes, there was infiltration of small light weapons and small arms and all that. And probably that's what he was trying to stop. But on the economics of it, there was a greater disadvantage to the Nigerian state. And if they had done a proper analysis of it, I'm sure probably they would have taken a better approach to that border closure. And today you say, okay, you want to have a homegrown products, let's say the local rice. Even the local rice we are having today are more expensive than the foreign rice that we have. And the food production, there's no food sufficiency in the Nigerian system. Okay, then what about you now having a system of having your normal on-lending that he did, which was very commendable, to maybe growers, have smallholders, farmers, so that they can grow crops and then produce, they buy off, then give to processors, and then this the on-lending was trying to solve. The on-lending still has its own issues, because I know I've been involved in some issues with on-lending, and if you look at the books of CBN on on-lending, they're not paying up.
Okay.
You know, some politics that have gone into the on-lending sectors and all that, but it was a good initiative.
I got you.
But then, the advice that has been coming from this government in terms of economic policies has been totally poor, which I pray the economic administration does not face. We have heard issues of, okay, they can bring up a theme and okay, he has done it before. And I'm just banking on that to see that the advice a president gets, because he cannot be everywhere. Remember when he said he wants to be the minister of petroleum, and we see that Cardinal Refinery did not produce crude and made a huge loss in a full semester year.
I think. Big Daddy.
So much income from your budget line.
I got you, but I want to get others in here. Like, so I think the killing is this, right? Pick one or two things and stay there. You know, Buhari said he was going to do security, economy, and corruption. He didn't do any of these three. This is his own focus areas: security, the economy, and corruption. On these three, he didn't do any. He chased other things. So I would say to the incoming guy, pick your three sectors and face there. Just face there. You can't do everything. You can't do everything. Yeah, pick the one you want to pick and say if it is power supply, do power supply. The one you cannot do, put one minister there. Let people know that, okay, I want to fix power. Till today, till tomorrow, Obasanjo did GSM. You can argue up and down, he did GSM. You know, he did a lot, he did pension reform, he did this, he did that, but he did GSM. So make it simple, face one thing and move from there. Tunde, what's up with you, man? Tunde, how you doing? Do you wanna hop into our little discussion we're having about the opportunities, the economic legacy of the Buhari years? I mean, we're trying to say what was missed and what could they have done better?
Yeah, thanks, Carlo, for having your space. I believe we, as a nation, we had too much hopes from Buhari.
Yeah, true.
And the challenge was that many people did not go and look at his first coming as the military head of state. Indeed, I remember in my office, I just brought out papers from that time because I was growing up. I was at least in my early teens, so we were reading papers. I realized that Buhari had one need. One, he was one person who hardly listened to advice. Even when it was going wrong, he will hardly listen. He will believe that when you are criticizing him, you have a sinister agenda. And that was what many who are around him played upon. That these people that are criticizing you, they don't like you. So don't listen to them. So he was living in the past. He believed more this spend. The more you spend, the more you throw money at the problem, it will go away.
Yeah.
And that was what encouraged it. Just me looking at it, even at the policies of the APC, I told them in my office that I didn't vote for him then, 20%, no. Because I told them, I said, this man is a man that will increase the debt of this country. He just wants to spend money. And it came from that, look, Central Bank can print money. And that was what said that, and everybody saw the body language. That this man wants money, I'll give him what he wants. And we're just spending the money, and people who are warned. But those who are close to him know that, don't mind them. They don't want you. We are spending money for what he wants us to do. So I think one problem that he lacked accountability. Another problem they looked about then was that he looked at PDP was the problem of Nigeria. Yes, the past administration, corruption, everything. But it was not a PDP problem. It's a Nigerian problem. Corruption knows no religion, knows no gender, knows no tribe in Nigeria. You are a Christian, you are a Muslim, you are a Yoruba, you are a Hausa, you are a man, you are a woman. 90% going to a position of authority because there are no systems. He thought that by just bringing in, coming there. No, our systems need to be put in place. For instance, I've been arguing that up to now for almost 4 or 5 years, Central Bank has not produced its accounts. You can go to the website of Central Bank, they don't have an annual account. Even in the military days, they had it. Even in the PDP days, they had it. And that's why I was saying that, look, something is fishing. Something is wrong. And we had a National Assembly that was, okay, look, how can our National Assembly sit on a Saturday today? And the only agenda is to increase ways and means advances from 5% to 15%. Because the National Assembly said that anything the president brings to them, we will accept. So the challenge was that they didn't have systems in place. They looked at Buhari as a saint, as a god who does no wrong, as if he's the monarch, as the queen or king of the United Kingdom, who legally does no wrong. He must always be right. And those who are the things, when someone has that as the back of his mind, no matter his intention, people take advantage. And I told them that, look at it. When his government leaves, you will see the massive corruption in this administration. Massive level of corruption and ineptitude in this administration. So I think that the past has gone, but moving forward, we should insist as a nation. Our National Assembly should not just be pass and go, bring them and go.
I think that's
the only
one.
The only thing we do is that to allow the president's will to just add our own constituency projects. The moment you add the constituency projects, the National Assembly has no problem.
Yeah.
And we had a central bank who could not put his feet down. Now, Mr. President, you can't just get this money. I think the man wanted to stay in his position.
No, and Tunde, you make a good point that, look at it this way, Tunde, you say that we should have systems. Okay, in the past, a long time ago, the military guys were known for, like, they could spend without control. So they said Abacha would go to central bank and take money. So the Nigerian Senate now passed this multi-year, multi-term expenditure framework. We passed the CBN Act. So we said that the president cannot take money from the central bank. He cannot borrow. And we also said that even if he borrows, he can only borrow 5%. And that 5% must be paid back before he borrows a fresh one. The laws were there. It's in the CBN Act. The National Assembly passed their own METF framework. It's also law. It's there. But we then had the president come and he printed. What he printed, if you convert that to dollar, is more than the total foreign reserves of Nigeria. That's what Buhari printed in 8 years, more than the total foreign reserves in dollars. He printed it, nobody said anything. NAS did not talk, CBN did not talk, even the press did not talk. I heard about this from the past CBN governor, Sanusi. That's the first time I heard about this ways and means, that it was 4 trillion. And that's when it was at 4 trillion. Now it's 31 trillion. Nobody said anything. Nobody controlled that. So the systems, the processes were there. How could one guy print 31 trillion and nobody, the PDP opposition did not talk. The National Assembly did not talk. Nobody said anything. How is it possible?
Thanks for that comment. You see, the challenge was that, you see, the PDP has lost its credibility in the country. So, PDP was blackmailed into silence. That was clear now. PDP was gradually blackmailed into silence because who was speaking the PDP? That was not part of the last administration that was corrupt. So people are blackmailed to silence. A National Assembly had told us that our desire that anything the president brings to us, we will pass. So the media, the Southwest media, I'm a Southwesterner, so there's no doubt about it, covertly and covertly remain silent. And we all know the agenda. The agenda has been successful to bring in the president. That was, so most of the media was don't talk too much. If you talk too much, reduce what we are, just change what we are doing. All these anti-corruption drive, how many successful, litigations have come that they started? We are not talking of the ones that was started, that they commenced. When somebody like Adam Mandela told us that, look, if you join APC, your sins are forgiven. These were there. We saw it. And in 2019, he could not do anything because the agenda was, and we all know the agenda. Tinubu, who's our president and by the desire of the nation, at least as of today, wants to come in. So he made sure the Southwest did not to rock the boat. It was so clear now, you will know, so that at least let this agenda come true. Because everybody knew if it was a PDP or any administration that did what this government did, Nigeria would actually be up in flames. We know now.
Wow. So today my question is now that if we can pass laws to stop things and those laws no longer hold, what stops the incoming president from simply saying, and I'm just giving an example, what stops the incoming guy from saying any dollar inside Nigerian border is owned by the federal government?
Indeed, that's the fear. The fear is that there will be, maybe they call it confiscation of currencies. We wait and see. Because I know the president-elect alluded to it one time when he said we should print more money. But he modified that statement. That was in the COVID period. He modified that statement that when he's not saying they should print more money, but they should follow the examples of the Western world, which were doing them quantitative easing. Forgetting that when they do quantitative easing, they have a mechanism to retrieve the money back. We were just spending, printing. We have not retrieved anything. And now our National Assembly is even telling CBN, borrow the government more. And so you should know, for this law to it's only decided, we don't know if the House is passing it, we don't know if Mr. President will sign it. Within almost less than a week, this thing will become reality. So it will give you the pointers to what is going to come in the future.
So what that means is that, and
we all know that eventually, if care is not taken, it will affect the value of our currency.
Let me just make this point. Let me make the point clear to Nigerians.
It will affect the value of our currency.
Yeah, let's make the point clear to Nigerians, right? So what is happening is that the largest expense today in Nigeria today is debt servicing. The largest expense today is not education, health, or infrastructure, or the military. The largest expense today is debt servicing. PMS subsidy is not in the budget. That's done by NNPC. If you add, so the largest things we spend money on are subsidy and debt interest payments before we do anything else. Because we've printed 31, they've given a 3-year moratorium. 3-year moratorium on the 40 billion debt that we've printed, which means that we're not going to pay interest for the 3 years, but we're going to start to pay interest after the 3 years on this printed money. So let AMG speak. We're setting ourselves up for perhaps a fiscal crisis down the line if we don't reflate the economy in the next 3 years. That's what's going to happen. In the next 36 months, we have to grow the economy in such a level that we are able to pay back that interest on that past debt that Buhari has printed before we even pay the interest on any new debt we're going to create, before we even then spend money on education, health, and roads.
Please, I just come in before I allow you to. Sorry. Look at each of petroleum subsidy, for instance. Our great president told us, look, it's a scam. And it's something that, now he talks about integrity, because when people talk of corruption, I believe integrity is issue. You told us, petrol scam, it's a scam. You close the border, smuggling is going on. Up to today, even maybe last 2 weeks, the figures cannot add up. How much oil is being consumed? PMS, nobody knows. Central bank has its figures, consumers its figures, NFPC has its figures. So what is worse? And we don't know they are just spending. Anything comes, they claimed in the PDP era, they were bribing, they were paying all marketers. Who is getting this money? Nobody has addressed it. Who is this money now going to? Yet there was the oil marketers. We know them. Now, who was all this? All this because there's no, up to now, the House brought out the figures now. There were 3 different sets of figures. The discrepancies everywhere. No, and he was, or he is president because he hasn't dissolved the Executive Council, our Minister of Petroleum Affairs. So, if somebody now, well, the facts are sacred. Thanks.
All right, great. But again, we want to see what we've done right, what we've done wrong, what we should have done as investors. So if I was an investor, I said I would have just bought dollars and just kept it because the naira, the subsidized naira is a panacea for low growth. AMG, you've got the floor, sir. Toke Toyimbo.
Oh, good evening, Mr. Carlo. Sorry.
Go ahead. You go to the floor. Please speak up, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah. I mean, if everybody's going to talk from now to tomorrow about this.
Could you speak up to AMG? So sorry. Could you just raise your volume, please?
Okay. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Hello?
Go ahead. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks. I mean, if everyone is going to talk about the summary of what Buhari has done and his administration has done in the past 8 years, I mean, it's overwhelming. We have a lot to talk about. What will be a core thing for me is, I think you said earlier on about external reserve. I mean, to be honest with you, I think I wrote an article last month on Nigerian external reserve. Yeah, I think earlier in April, the figures are worrisome. And sorry about Zoom. Sorry.
AMG, I'm gonna have you fix your audio and we'll give you a call back. Let me ask you fix your audio and fix your call back. Gospel, what's up? Gospel, let me have you online. Gospel?
Yeah, I'm here, Carlo. Good evening.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, great. So happy to join this conversation. I'm always happy to hear from you and discuss these issues. And, sometimes you think about it and it's quite depressing, to be honest. Because like you said, the man came with enormous goodwill in 2015. Many people, we are really optimistic for that change. Some people were saying Nigeria was going to be UK in the next few years and all of that. And here we are, 8 years after, and then every single one of us, who is honest, agrees that on the balance of things have been worse off than they were in 2015. And the funny thing is, just recently, I think I saw Buhari, even the Fashola was saying, we've left things better than we met things. And I was like, wow, is it that these guys, they live in some sort of bubble, or they are just cognizant, they just decide to be, completely disillusioned with the facts that Nigerians deal with every day? And I'm quite, embarrassed about it. But I think just to make the point about what somebody said about how the PDP was saying nothing when the government was printing money, and I think that's not correct and fair. Because if I remember that time, the governor of those states, who is a PDP member, calling over Seki, shouted to high heaven. Our government was printing money and people were denying left, right, and center, and so I think people who are talking really, if you want to be honest on that particular note, just to make that point. So, but again, you can argue, we're not talking politics here per se, but you can argue that the PDP did not do as much as an opposition party. Fair enough. But again, it depends on the metrics you used to look at it. Do you want the party to come out in the manner that, you lie about things through the country in some sort of, disarray, the kind of things you come out with? No. We just wanted to see the situation whereby the country sort of gets itself together to make some progress. But really, we are. The economy is in shambles. And I think I just recently, correct me if I'm wrong, Carl, but I think I saw somewhere Buhari said that the border closure, he did it. What was the word now? I think he said he did it intentionally.
Yeah.
Something about that nature. I'm not sure whether he has. I think about the guy. I'm not sure the kind of guy he is. Has he, looked at where we are now? I mean, a lot of commentary has come up from, the damage that Nigeria becoming has suffered off of that border closure. And I'm sure he has heard this kind of commentary. Doesn't that sort of make him think, okay, maybe I made a mistake in this. I could have done better. I just think about it and I'm wondering what kind of guy he is. And, what pains me the most is that somehow we managed to endure these 8 years and we're going to see this man's back. And the man that is likely going to take over from him doesn't seem to be offering anything better, in my opinion, at least from where I stand, from what the man has done. I mean, clearly, he is going to continue from where the man living is. And you look at it and you see, okay, we're just coming out from this very, very terrible 8 years. You're looking forward, you want to look forward with some sort of hope that, okay, things will get better. And you don't get that kind of inspiration, to be honest. I mean, I don't. I just sit here and I have been telling my friends earlier that I have warned really. This was what I was really optimistic that maybe somehow, we could sort of go to a place whereby we go to some sort of a 1999 situation where we sort of did some sort of reset with your Obasanjo and Atiku government, started to look at how to get the debt off our head. We have a lot of debt as we have, we had a lot of debt then, as we have now. Get some very good heads into the economic team and try to sort of salvage the situation and try to get things going. That was, what I was looking at, that also informed my choice of candidate I supported in the election, which is different from the guy that has been pronounced winner. But, looking at it and seeing that, the next 4 years doesn't inspire so much confidence, I'm just like, okay, well, Nigeria is our only country. We can only pray and hope that somehow this guy who do not give any sort of trust or any kind of, some sort of path or hope that, okay, he's going to do something somehow, proves us all wrong and get the good heads into the place and somehow they can salvage the key things and the economy can start to look good because, I mean, it's very, very terrible out here. It's terrible. And, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, Gospel, if you comment, like, I hear you, most of the comments made now, I wouldn't take them into consideration. They are political comments. If Tinubu says, I'm going to continue, that's all politics. I think the real taste of the pudding is going to be in the cabinet of the president-elect. And I know they have learned from this delay in appointing ministers. So I would hedge a bet that they are going to move with a lot of speed to perhaps get a cabinet out there. And I think, watch the cabinet. There are going to be a few posts that are there because they are political, payback positions. Watch the MDAs. Watch the tone that their economic team will set and how they want to approach the problem. Once we see the team, we can start to see the thinking behind what's happening. Because right now, they've been handed over a poison chalice, right? They've been handed over a company that is in debt. That company cannot survive without borrowing to pay day-to-day salaries. But the company has a lot of assets. The company has a lot of customers. The company has a lot of products in R&D he has not brought out of the laboratory to sell. So what that company needs now is a CEO that will go to the workers of the company and say, whether you supported me, whether you did not support me, I am going to be your CEO. I want your best ideas. Any idea you give me, if it's a good idea, I will implement it. If an idea will make money for the company, which means I will increase your salaries, I will do it. If we have to invest in this factory in this part of the world to make money for you, I will do it. Nigerians like success. If Nigerians see that the person, the CEO, is trying to be successful, they will support him. That's basically it. I don't think any Nigerian, I think right now everybody's at, like you said, because everybody's at ground level. Things are tough. So people are looking for hope. If you give people hope right now, there is so much need for hope that I think it might be a problem. But if anyone comes and says, I will do this for you, people will follow him. So the guys that are coming in there, they have even a bigger opportunity. Shebi, they say they are going to be better. Shebi, they say they built, quote unquote, this place. They built this city, Abi, that when they came to Lagos, there was nothing and they built it. That's the what's it called? That is the expectation now that when you say you grew Lagos from 900 million to 25 billion, okay, grow Nigeria like that. Grow the whole of Nigeria like the place you're coming from, so that there's wealth, there's peace, there's prosperity. That's really what these Nigerians are looking for now. And if there's success, Nigerians will get behind it. Me personally, if there's success, I'll get behind it. Yeah,
very interesting. Yeah, very interesting point and very good way you summed it. And really, what you just said is just what we can hope and pray really works out. And I actually considered it really towards really campaign. I was like, okay, so who are the remaining guys in this guy circle of the kind of people, they say the leader of men? I mean, during his time in Lagos, we had the Oshiba, we had this man, what's his name, the pastor, yes, we had Ambo, there are some other very brilliant guys. But these guys have now all come out, played the national level, we've seen all their hands. Who are the other guys that we've not known of that are going to come in and do the magic? I guess we are going to wait and see how that happens. But somehow, when I think about it in that manner, that okay, some of these team members used to do what they said he did in Lagos, have been tested, they haven't delivered so much, of course, some gains here and there, but you look at it and I'm not exactly sitting here and waiting for Fashola to be reappointed.
Gospel, let me just say this before I hand over to Buhari. Let me say this, right? Nigeria is a very easy company to fix. Very easy. I say it on Twitter, people will be abusing me. You can fix exchange rates in a day. You can fix the debts, maybe a longer term. People want to see a plan. But exchange rate, this Naira, whatever, in a day you can fix it. And the economists here and the finance guys, know what I'm talking about. Buhari's problem was that he came in with an agenda. He came in to say, he felt that a certain part of the country was underdeveloping. So he wanted to help that part of the country to develop. But in doing that, I think he did not understand that his actions would actually cause the other part of the country to slow down. When you say you want to keep the Naira strong, he's doing it because in his mind, all defense to him, he's saying if dollar is expensive, then the poor people cannot afford things in Nigeria. That's how he looks at it. And you can understand where he's coming from. But when you do it that way, you actually kill the economy more because those poor people are now buying imports. It is local companies that create local jobs. Imported companies don't create local jobs. And when you have a strong Naira, you are subsidizing foreign companies, not local companies. So he came with a very simplistic idea of the economy. If I take money and I give to a poor person, that poor person becomes rich. That's his simplistic view. So, but if you forget that to take money means that the person you are taking money from is making money. So the first thing you do is that you want to make that person you are taking money from make more money so that you can take more from that person and give to the poor person. If you simply redistribute income, you are going to tax the people to death. So when they couldn't tax, they went and they borrowed. And they've borrowed and they've over-borrowed and we cannot pay back. So I'm hopeful that the guys coming in now seem to be, they are from the part of the world where they say they understand international banking, they understand international finance. Let's see. I am going to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to support any good thing I see. Let's see what will happen. So everyone should just, if they are doing good, support them. Let's support them if they are doing good, because if they are doing good, then everybody is going to do good. That's just my take on this. Buhari, your hop right in, sir.
Sorry, Carlo, can I just go one final?
Yeah, thanks, Carlo. Good evening, and good evening, everyone. Again, thank you for the privilege of being a part of this conversation, and I want to appreciate all of the other speakers and the contributions so far. I won't be talking for long. I just wanted to venture a bit of a different take to the matter of ways and means. Our current debt to GDP is about 30-something%. If I'm correct, this is after the securitization of ways and means. But one thing we all need to kind of not forget is that effectively our debt service to GDP ratio is is or has come down as a result of that securitization. We were paying NPR plus about 3% as interest on that outstanding loan before. Now we're paying less than half of that. So in my thinking, and I may be wrong, this is kind of what is informing the push, because it does look as if we have a bit more headroom now to take on extra debt. Now, I would remind us, and I'm careful to say this, but international recommended maximum of debt to GDP is 60%. So again, when you're having these conversations in a global context, it would appear that we're nowhere near trouble zone yet. Of course, we also know that it's not necessarily about debt to GDP. It's about your ability to pay the interest on that debt. So debt service as a percentage of the actual revenue that government makes. And that, of course, takes the conversation in a whole new direction, in the sense that, in the first place, is our economy as robust and as large as it should be? And I'm trying to use simple language here. Secondly, has government demonstrated the capacity? And we all know the answer to this question. Our tax to GDP ratio is still one of the lowest in the world. And that again takes us in a whole different direction, because it's not a popular thing to say, but I will still say it. The Nigerian government is severely underfunded for the kind of public goods that we want to receive and we want to see as a populace of 200 million people. The kind of budgets we're seeing, and we're not even able to fund those budgets without the huge deficits we're seeing. It's too small. It's not going to move the needle. That is the honest truth. You want to see a certain quality and consistency of public goods. What are we talking about? Infrastructure, education, healthcare. The things that make advanced countries work. The money that is currently available to the Nigerian government is not going to make it happen. Having said that, and this is why it's important to have rigorous conversations, and throw ideology away, throw simplistic takes away, throw monocausal, this is what caused this. The reality doesn't work like that. So I see a situation, and I've been saying this for a long time, where the Nigerian government is underfunded. But the Nigerian government is also wasteful and horribly inefficient in dispensing with the little funds it has, and corrupt also. So you have two things that are both true, and we need to talk about solving both of them. One doesn't negate the other. Both of them need to be solved. But when you have that broader outlook, it kind of informs the way we have these conversations. So the moving of the ways and means ceiling from 5 to 15% is a dangerous thing in some sense. But in another sense, there may be some sense to it, right? It can be made to work. The question, like a lot of my friends like to say, sometimes government should borrow to build infrastructure. But that's not the problem. The problem is, are you able to translate that infrastructure into actual value, into the generation of wealth? And that is the big problem. And sometimes government shouldn't even get involved in building infrastructure. Open it up, find ways to get private capital to come in and do it. But each case is different. So again, like I said, let's move away from ideology. Let's look at things very, very rigorously, and on a case-by-case basis, analyze some of these things. It will enrich our conversations. And we all love this country. At the end of the day, that's the most paramount thing. I just want to drop some of these thoughts, not necessarily putting forward any particular position on the matter, but to help us, like I said, see things a bit more broadly. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, but good overview there. I, for one, right, I don't see any problem with debt, with borrowing, even with deficits. I don't see any problem. I think my only problem with Nigeria, I always maintain, is spending. where we're spending to. Imagine if we printed 31 trillion. Imagine if we printed 31 trillion to build a railway that connects all state capitals, built 100,000 brand new homes, and maybe perhaps built universities. Nobody would even say PIM. Nobody will say PIM because we know that was a good use of borrowed funds, right? I think the problem with Nigerians is that we know where the money is going to go to. If you increase revenues, we know Sunday National Assembly is going to buy new imported cars. We're going to buy. We just know where it was, and that's the fear of Nigerians, not the borrowing, but that this money is not going to be spent appropriately, and that fear doesn't go because the government keeps on making their point for them, whether it's buying new fire service trucks for 10 billion, whether it's putting into intranet in airports, for billions, or building clubhouse or building libraries for 5 billion. The government seems incapable of deploying capital in a manner consistent with a fiduciary judicial manager. That's just the fear of people. So when people see borrowing, they don't see the what's it called, the expected revenue. They look at I'm going to pay this back and the money is going to be wasted. The government has to show that the people are wrong, in quotes. Let the government borrow money and do something below budget, delivered on time, that has output. And people will say, okay, hey, and it's unfortunate that even the trains that we borrowed money to build, the Abuja to Kano train, the Lagos, the Itakbe to Warri train, they've been blown up by insecurity, literally. So, man, it's tough being in Nigeria. But Barry, good comments there. The next president has just got to show results. Nigerians just want to see results. So I thank you for that. The debt is not the problem. It's what the debt is being used to finance, I think, is the problem for Nigerians. Momo, how you doing, sir? You've got Momo Modu the second. How are you? You've got the floor. Go ahead.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I think for me, I would say there are a lot of positive and a lot of sadness in this current administration, the Buhari administration. I think one crazy thing that hindered the progress of Buhari has to be insecurity, as you mentioned earlier on. Because I started farming in 2016. I know the progress we made then, but we did that 1 to 2 years before X-Men came into your picture. And as you said before, there's no way in the world where economic activities will grow in the midst of insecurity. And we saw that with the CBN. In 2017 to precise, when Obaseki came in, we started this entrepreneur program in those states where it cleared over 2,000 hectares. The first kickoff phase was in Esobe, as we are going to this Akure on those states. After clearing the whole stuff, pack a lot of you together. I was one of those people, and we don't understand what people want. I mean, say as government now, they started going back and forth, and there was a time whereby they need to bring in machinery to do the planting, and they started getting 1 or 2 different news from everywhere that the supplier couldn't deliver machine. What happened was there's insecurity in many different places, and that had to prolong the planting process. And one crazy thing about planting is the very moment you miss a particular day or month, that you are already contributing to the failure of the process. So, and they end up planting rubbish for corn, and at the end of the day, that project end up becoming another failure on the government part. And CBN was a huge part of that process, right? Being one of the major founder of the process, because it told the youth to go and open an account. And it was great, at least for Sterling Bank then, at least so there was money coming to the account, that you said before, money keep flowing from one place to another. Local workers in that community, so there will be employed to do spraying, applying herbicide, and the rest of them. But insecurity keep everything. I have a friend also in Benue then who was also operating about 27 hectares of land. His father got killed, right? He had to abandon the farm. And you have to look at all those things, what really caused it. There's so many insecurity here and there. Someone said earlier on that Buhari is one crazy president that never really listened to other people's opinion. But I don't really know, right? But I just say, yes, so far so good. Economically, it has been a disaster. But in terms of security improvement, the military will tell you that this is the best head of state they've seen after Shagari in terms of military equipment, which also we have to give kudos to it. When you look at the Falcon Heights in the Navy, for example, which has helped to reduce oil theft and piracy in our water, and that alone is a progress in our maritime way. And yeah, we have to look at it in different angles, right? But you got to read Buhari from 0 to 100. You can't give him. There's no way you can give Buhari 50%. It has to be below 50%. But as I said before, militarily, he has been able to equip our military, right? At least equip some personnel, train them abroad, which that would be a post for the incoming administration, knowing fully well that, okay, the military now have this access. So now, how do we now keep the people or the young ones who are restless, who are jumping fences, how do we get them employed? And some persons are finding a way to also work on Buhari, let's say lack of intelligence or lack of technical know-how to exploit project prices. I think a perfect case is the gas train, the LNG, the gas project that was supposed to be constructed between the south and the north, between 7. So it's really, really crazy entirely. So I'll stop here, allow that person chipping.
Yeah, more good points on that again. But back to the insecurity, yes, record spending on the military. We know the Tucano deal in 1 billion taken from the Sovereign Wealth Fund, from the ECA to buy the Tucanos, but they are still bandits. I don't want to dump on the Buhari, but what's the point of having all these sophisticated modern arms if they are bandits still within the border? I'm talking about you cannot drive from Abuja to Kaduna with your family without going to church first. Kaduna to Abuja, the largest concentration of security forces anywhere in Nigeria is in Kaduna, NDA, and the mechanized divisions, the army, the air force, all have bases there. Everyone is in Kaduna. Abuja is the seat of power, but you cannot drive from Abuja to Kaduna without armed escort. Armed, everything you must be protected. This is within the country. It wasn't last year we heard Abuja was surrounded by Boko Haram or whatever. They were killing Brigade of Guards people. So there has to be a result. If you buy Tucano and they are bandits, then if you buy new frigates and NNPC is still losing now billions or millions of barrels per day, then you have to ask yourself, really, what's happening? That's the thing. In the end, we have to look at the results, not the effort, the result. So good call, Momo. Yeah, good call.
Okay, sorry. Before I just drop the mic, I understand that, right? But if you look, I'm not trying to defend Buhari here, but I'm trying to want us to look at it in this with this view. If you look back in 2013, right? I was in 2013. I was in Kaduna 2013, and I was in NDA back then. And there was a time I was supposed to travel from KD to Abuja, and the RSM told us that we can't travel because there was this intel that Boko Haram were planning an attack across that. Now, we are currently battling what we call this is guerrilla war. And we know guerrilla was one of the most difficult wars to fight. So you can have 1 million Tucano.
Yeah, guerrilla war inside your border. This, like you're saying, as guerrilla war between Virginia and Washington. We're talking about guerrilla wars in Viet Cong or in a border. This is guerrilla war inside the capital city, and it's I don't know about that, Momo. Like, we want to dump on the guy, but come on.
All right, so let me allow a person continue.
I hear you, bro. Let's get the guy dropped off here. But Tunde, your hand is up. Tunde, what's up? So your hand was up. And if you want to speak, or Big Daddy, do you want to jump in here? The guy else, next speaker has dropped. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to talk about the issues of debt. Yeah, it's good to have debt,
Yeah.
right? It's about what are you spending on. It's something we call in borrowing, we call borrowing purpose, right? That you are borrowing for the right reasons also. Then you talk about spending. Nigeria and Buhari want to talk about Nigeria. There's a huge issue when it comes to revenue. Of course, there's a revenue issue. Every government in the world wants more revenue, and they make avenues to generate revenue. But is the one you have, how you are spending it, that's the issue. Because when you're looking at historicals, when you want to probably lend money, where creditors want to give them money, say, okay, how have you managed the resources that you have? You look at your financials and look at your income statement, how have your expenses been? It is totally poor when it comes to the case of Nigeria and the present government. The excesses and what we have faced. And that comes to where you say, when you increase tax, you hear people murmuring. But when you spend rightly, and this money you're spending goes to the right avenue, you can increase tax as high as 10%, 11%, 15%, whatever it is, as long as the economics matches. And people will complain. People have 24 hours light, they have good roads to go on, they have PMS to buy. There's no issues of scarcity or anything they're facing, and people won't complain. But when you have government that spends and you have MDAs everywhere, you have expenditures up and down, people are not willing to even pay tax. When at the end of the day, you see the tax and your pay slip, you will get angry because you are paying tax to a government that is not giving you anything as social welfare or social amenities. They will talk about having a checker. This government, there's no checker from top to bottom, as they call it. And somebody mentioned the National Assembly. The National Assembly for me has been so much like a rubber stamp. Like there's no that alone should be the executive checkers. But anything that comes, it's a stamp on it without even looking at interrogating the government. Such as they even invite ministers, they even invite head of directors, and they won't show up. And everyone's won't fall. So how can you have a system that works when you have no checkers and government can do any spendings, take any ways and means out of the accident and all that without even nobody calling anything? So these are the critical issues that this government has felt that needs to fix, because we like this issue of my guy politics, and it has spoiled the economy of this country. And I don't see it changing in the economic government. The government would rather do policies that will increase praises, e.g. like the trader money, that will bring praises to them, keep political.
Yeah, but we'll see. Big Daddy, we'll see. Let's not speak for them. We'll see. By next week, we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully. Like I said, my friend said, I have my own reservation, but I'm praying we should see good things.
I saw this chart, price changes of consumer goods and services in Nigeria from June 2015 till April 2023. Food has gone up in price 259%. Food. Transportation has gone up in price 180%. Just look at food alone. I come back to this. Food is the key in Nigeria. The minimum wage, if you go by minimum wage, there's nothing like minimum wage in Nigeria, but let's assume minimum wage is 30,000 naira a month. That has been unchanged for maybe 5 or 6 years, unchanged. But food has gone up 259%. The average Nigerian household, according to Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, spends 68% on food. So you can tell that the new government, if they can focus on just dropping the price of food, right? That's a pay rise to everyone, especially the poor. If you can do a policy that the next 6 months, the price of food, yam, beans, palm oil, meat, will fall by 50%. No matter the policy you do, that price will fall by 50%. You are instantly giving Nigerians a 50% salary hike. And I say the way to do it is very simple, right? You have to lose some revenue. If you say you can import food in the next 90 days without paying any duty whatsoever. Why import? Why not local food? Local food cannot meet Nigeria's demand. All the rice Nigeria is producing still cannot meet Nigerian demand with all the meals we have with paddy rice. We still can meet demand. If you import food, then you can meet demand. If you say you're going to import food at no duty for the next 90 days, then in those 90 days, you are fighting insecurity. So you give yourself 90 days to deploy the army. The army can be deployed, pay mercenaries to come and take those guys out, 100% out. So 90 days, food is coming in. But in 90 days, you have deployed significant kinetic force to degrade those punks that call themselves bandits. Take them all out. When you have taken them out, and then you now have a medium-term plan to invest in food production, post-harvest, post-storage, and distribution via logistics, so that you now have a plan within 24 months to say that the price of food will fall almost 30 or 50% in the next 24 months. That's inflation coming down. Once you start to bring down inflation, you are bringing down the cost of doing business. You are raising savings of Nigerians. You are making businesses plan better. NPR will come down. Even the government's deficit will come down, simply because you have fought insecurity and tied it back into, should we say, food supply. These are quick wins. Like I said, Nigerian problem is not, we are lucky. We're not, we have, you can see the problem is easy. You go leave your house today, the road is bad, or there's no power. So if I fix the road and fix the power, I get a good output. Nigeria is lucky. That's the point I'm making. Our problem is not, we don't have American problems of shooting or LG. We don't have all those problems. We have simple problems. There's no food, there's no water, there's no power. So just fix food, water, power. You grow GDP. Just simple things. We're not a difficult people. Tunde, what's up, man? You see you have your hand up.
Yes, I'm sorry, but I wanted to. You see, we are talking about the housing administration. That issue of thank God is brought up. You see, the problem we have in Lagos, every state has its own peculiarity. In Lagos, we have the area boards. You see, the challenge about the security now is that most of these people, quote and unquote, have become political actors. They are known to those in authority. So the challenge is, we know our problem, there is sincerity, purpose. I remember when the African governor of Kaduna initially said he knows the bandits. They gave them money, but they are not interested in more money. They are seeing it as a lucrative business. And that's the point of corruption in Nigeria. Why it's great. As one first is being taken care of, the other said to write that, look, from our own tongue, get the money. So it's not that these people are not, you said Kaduna, I've been to Kaduna once or twice. You have a lot of military institutions in Kaduna. So how come we talked about this and this, but we talked about all these things? And these are the areas, as you rightly have said, are the agricultural producing areas of the country. Same way state. I know they have a lot of yam here. But the person who spoke up, I know some people, even I'm from Oyo State, even in Oyo State, who want to abandon their farm because of killing. And people have now sectionalized it in this 24th century. We are talking of herd grazing, cattle grazing. When we were in our staff, when we were still staff, to have ranching on one of our Nigerian staff, cattle ranching the way forward. So the challenge is in terms of proposed by those who are in power. I just saw something yesterday or so. Out of school children in the north has increased their percentage wise. When somebody now tells me that this government has started security, I will not ask, why are people not going to school there? We are not facing the reality that there is a lot of people in the north. I have them in the north, in Kaduna and in Niger State. And we know a lot of bandits in that Niger State. There is a lot. And interestingly, there's a way we shield it. Just because it's not as on the horrific side as the Boko Haram. So maybe it's like we are shielding that thing, and they are saying there's no local government that's under the control of bandits. But most people in Zamfara State, before you produce food, you have to pay tax to the bandit. They get tax when you want to. They get tax when you want to harvest. Yeah, it's in plain sight. And so the challenge I have that I hope the incoming administration be able to tackle the issue of insecurity. Many people in the northern places, so they have actually the system to little or nothing.
Yeah.
The poverty is on the increase. And it's because these are areas, because it should be an holistic thing. As I said before, they just were adopting money to those people. And those people are spending the money anyhow. And in the long run, there will still or nothing to show for those monies. Yes, I think I wanted to show. And the cultural ones, go to Kano, go to Moto place, get their building roads, and on the see the big roads in Kano. Go to Kano Metropolis, and go down to Toronto, go down to all these areas. And you see poverty. Hey, it is sometimes you know that when there's poverty, it's right. And it's surprising that most of the people from, and that's why I think education must also be looked into. Most of the people in the north, there's a lot of after school education in India. They have Nigerian schools. Most of them are just left abandoned. So if people are not being educated, people are not being trained, where would they go to? So these are things which I hope, because as you have already said, food inflation is not increasing. I think the country that has land, we have land in excess. I know you were talking about land use that one that ago. We have land in excess. People want to farm, but you go to farm and they're banding. So you go to farm again, and our population is increasing. We forget it. We are not decreasing, we are increasing. Maybe economically or maybe domestically. So whether we like it or maybe in the next 5 or 10 years, we have another 20 or 30 or 40 million people to feed.
Yeah, and then what happens? So I mean, one thing that we have to focus on really, and that's why we had that space on China. We had a space once on China, how China fought poverty, and China has a huge population. They don't have a lot of, when they were fighting this poverty, right? They didn't have a lot of modern industries, but were able to bring down extreme poverty through targeted government action. Subsidies to poor people, promoting foreign direct investment in the coastal cities, focus on education, rural-led agriculture industries that then progress to light industries, to manufacturing, then to heavy industry. So China has a plan that they have implemented, and they were able to get it done. I think the next guys that are coming in have to really focus on building wealth. There has to be wealth built at the individual town, rural level for Nigerians. Like you said, Nigeria is a very poor nation, very poor. You leave the towns or the Lagos and the Port Harcourt and Abuja, you are faced with stark poverty. You go to some places, they don't use currency. There is no point in using currency because no one has currency. What I mean, no one can afford it. So you see homes, they eat, they don't buy their food. So you see, go to a town, someone is living in a house built with mud, it's a good house, nothing wrong with the house, but they eat, they don't buy food, they don't pay for education, they don't pay for healthcare, they don't have a car, they don't buy PMS, they don't buy all these things we buy. So what's the need for currency? Their wealth is agricultural produce that they farm, they store it in makeshift silos, and that's where they keep that's their bank. So if someone wants to get married, they'll sell 2 bags of millet or sorghum, and they fund a wedding. If their roof is bad, they do communal effort and they build that roof. We have to target those kind of communities and bring them into production, into productivity. Give them a solar panel, solar radio, or solar, so they can have this water pump, pipe on water. You can reduce their poverty of time. They can go to school via the radio or even through TV. These things that I don't know, like 60 years, we're still farming with rainwater, not irrigation. Fertilizer is hard to come by, it's the simple things we don't get right, but we're building very complicated, things, I don't know how to speak. Someone is sending me this long chat about the border with Togo. I request to speak, sir. I'll let you speak so you can explain it better. It's rather long. I'm not sure. I'm making some good points here, but if you want to just request to speak, and I'll put you on the line so we can get you connected, right? So you can explain it better. I think you're talking about the border closure between Togo and Nigeria, And you said nothing is smuggled into Nigeria without Nigerian customs being aware. That is correct. The land border closure support a lot of things for Benin. So it's like you're from Benin Republic. If I read this, yeah, request to speak. I'll add you so you can give us that unique take, right? There we go. Yeah, I see you've requested. Hello, sir. I can see name. Dreadhound. Dreadhound. What's up? You've got the floor. Go ahead.
Yeah. Good evening, Mr. Carlo and John.
Hey, what's up, man?
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak on your space. I appreciate it. I appreciate also the last people who spoke. You spoke extensively. I actually wanted to get involved because this is kind of topic that actually interests me. But anyway, I don't really have that much to say, but I'll just speak my piece still. First of all, I'd just like to say this. I know that the topic is speaking specifically about the Buhari years. But I would like to say also that the decline that we are seeing today, the complete economic decline we are seeing today just didn't start with Buhari. But I would say that this government exacerbated it, I would say. That said, let me just straightforward say that you plant corn, you always harvest corn. Simple as that. You're not going to plant corn and harvest something else. Let me just use a very simple economic term. The truth of the matter is this. When your cost of production is always higher than the market price you sell the products, you will always end up in a loss. That is just the simple truth. As long as you don't adjust your cost of production, you understand, make the necessary, let's say, adjustments in the necessary sectors and areas, your market price may not end up being competitive. And if it's not competitive, you will end up, making a loss. And that makes your business as useless. Why do I say this? Nigeria is, to me, I would like to say, is an aberration. Because for some reason, when I take a look around the world, I see how things work in other places, and I try to compare to how it works in Nigeria. I end up being baffled or more confused. Let's just take a look at 2015 when this guy took office. We all understood what the average income was back then in 2015. And all the excuses I was giving then, for why, the economy could not pick up as quickly as possible. Now, let's fast forward to 2023. What is the average, let's say minimum wage, let me just use the minimum wage. I think it's still 30,000 or something. Now, let's just be realistic here. I don't know about other people, but 30,000 naira is nothing. That is just the simple truth. It is basically nothing. Right? Now, if you adjust these 30,000, that people are getting today, mind you, Mr. Carlo, that, the vast majority of Nigerians still earn below that 30,000. I know people who are working as chefs, cooks, people who are working as cleaners who go home every month with 25,000 after all the adjustment and everything cut off from their salary. And then it means that, including the transport they have to spend and everything. Let's ask ourselves the truth. When we adjust these 25,000 or 30,000 by inflation rates, of let's say from 2015 as basis, it tells that people actually became poorer in the 8 years of Buhari, much, much poorer than expected. That is just the simple truth. First of all, 30,000 is nothing, right? Now, if you adjust it by the drastic increase in price of goods and services in this country, I'm saying this as someone who lives in the diaspora but always visits Nigeria multiple times a year. I also shudder every time I go out there. Whenever I come back like 2 or 3 times a year. And each time I come back, I try to go, I deliberately make it a point of action to go and price the exact same good that I bought the last time. And I keep my receipts and everything. The prices will always at every single time increase by at least 5%, 10%, 15%. Right? And there is no comparable or let's say marginal increase in income in this country. What the consequence of this is that more people are sliding into abject poverty in this country. I mean, we just read that they said about 130 million people in this country are in poverty. And we're speaking about a nation of about 210 million people. And about 130 million people are already in poverty. I'm sorry, but there's a way I see these things. I normally try to categorize society in, there are 3 ways I like to class them. You understand? The upper class, the middle class, and the lower income earners. I like to say that Nigeria is completely losing its middle class. And that is just the simple truth. the vast majority of Nigeria have slipped into the poverty, threshold. So that's my understanding. And the last 8 years of Buhari exacerbated it in the worst way possible. Because I've spoken to a lot of people. What is your income increase in the past 3-4 years? A lot of them have not gotten a single increase. Mr. Carlo, for the past couple of days, you have been posting the salary that banks have been paying their, I think they call them contract staff. Right? It is criminal, I say, it is criminal that people will work for 23 days or 24 days, depending. I don't know how they work. And most of the time, these people work above the normal 8-hour threshold that people are supposed to work in a day. And you end up giving that person 45,000 in an economy where the price increase is off the roof, right? Inflation rate is off the roof. What the direct consequences of this is going to be is that you are going to put more people in poverty, and Buhari achieved this extensively, right? So what I'm saying is this: when I say that if you plant a corn, you're gonna reap a corn. There are no two ways about it. Nigeria has failed over the years, and that is from successive governments, not just Buhari now, to invest in the critical sector.
All right.
That help to develop human capital in this country. Sorry, go ahead, sir.
No, I just want to figure out. I hear you. I'm just making sure that you are rounding up and making that point so that we can get the sense of your direction. Yeah, we know that Nigeria is not where it's supposed to be, and you've made the point that it's accumulation, right, of other leaders. We get it. What would you think that he did well? What do you think he should have done better?
What he did well, sir, with all due respect, I'm sorry to say this, because if you're talking about more people being thrown into poverty, over the course of 8 years, sir, I'm not gonna give anybody accolades for that.
Okay.
Obviously. But let me just end with this. I know that it's time testing, but let me just end with this. The truth of the matter is that Nigeria is going nowhere if we don't actively engage in production in any way possible, be it agricultural production or any other thing. But Nigeria is basically going nowhere. We can dance around it all we want. We can do all sorts of shenanigans and play all types of charade. It's not going to take us anywhere. If you take a look at advanced countries today, the reason why they advance is because they actively engage in production and export. And Nigeria currently is nothing nowhere to be found on the map. So, sir, let me just leave it here. But the truth of the matter is this: I don't see any legacy of economic growth that this guy left. Why he's leaving. He's a failure to me, and he always been a failure. He wasn't 1983, he always been a failure. And I hope that Nigeria is going to get out of this very soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks for speaking, bro. Appreciate that. Let's get Joaquina.
Joaquina.
Oh, Joaquina, yeah, stop.
Good evening, Ricardo.
How you doing?
Please, I would start by talking as regards Buhari's 8 years in office. Buhari, I was in year one of my medical school when Buhari entered as president. Then, one of my classmates then was overly optimistic, this military warlord, body language, all the additional things Buhari came with. First of all, I think we have to go to from year one, the first year of Buhari's leadership up until this point. And I hope we can tally all our lessons as not just Nigerians but as people. First, I think we have to understand that one, body language doesn't change anything. Rather than looking out for body language, you should watch and look out for people of character. Personally, that's why I supported P2B. Just his character. You can say, okay, from so time to so time, this is this person's behavior over an extended period of time. 2, infrastructure. Infrastructure is important too, but you cannot substitute it for having a very productive economy. I see people shouting about we have flyover, we have this one. Okay, you have flyover, but what is happening? The people there, what are they doing? You can use all the money that you're supposed to use to empower the youth, to have a thriving economy, to build a flyover in an environment that hardly have even enough vehicles to ply the road. What are we substituting? What is the cost of all these things that we're doing? You say you want to build a flyover. I'm just giving an example. Ebony now, for example. We have plenty flyovers and all of that Omar built. People are saying shout. Yes, But come down to the state and see what poverty looks like. I hope we're like taking scores about this. You cannot use the money that you're supposed to use to like improve your economy, substitute for infrastructure, and then you're saying you're doing well. Then people troop from your state to other neighboring eastern states to find things to do. It makes no sense. Like I hope we don't repeat this same cycle again. That in terms of infrastructure, when it comes to security, same thing. You don't necessarily need a military man to actually get it everywhere secure. Makes like Buhari failed as military leader, still he was brought back. Even people way older than us were actually leading this whole march towards Buhari. But here we are. Please let's as a people make sure that one, we don't bring back any military leader again, like they are rubbish. Not just them, their friends, which is the problem I have with this administration. I really don't trust people who have like military friends like that, because like their life mind
All right.
does not necessarily change. So please, like we have to make sure that we tally everything that we suffered, and then so that we won't repeat the cycle again. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for those comments. I appreciate it. Yeah. All right, let me get can I pronounce this optimum underscore prime. Optimum prime. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, hello, Carlo. This is a shout to you with that in the chat. Yeah, so I'm actually a Nigerian. I've been living in Benin for the past, let's say, 3 years. And I've literally watched the Naira get destroyed. When I saw the border closure, I saw the effects. When I started living in Benin, I earned in Naira, so exchange rate then was 700 Naira, you get 1,000 sefa. It was very good, it was nice. But as of today, the exchange rate is actually 1,210 Naira, will give you 1,000 sefa. And it's increasing at an alarming rate. As at last week, it was 1,195 Naira for 1,000 sefa. I really pity the students that are actually schooling there because I'm wondering how they actually survive. So for the border closure, they're not really given, but they're literally what was going around in the media, which were illegal importation of food, illegal importation of cars, and for the first one, I mean, food, this has always been the only commodity, I believe. Don't correct me if I'm wrong, but food commodity being the only commodity that has always followed the basic laws of economic every time. The higher the supply, the lower the price. The higher the demand, the lower the price. I see no reason why we have to close the border because of importation of food. I mean, all the food coming into the country, it means we have more food to eat. It will mean the prices of food will go down. It's basic economy. There was also this talk about forex being used, Nigerian forex being used to buy food. I usually find that bogus and a lie because most of the food that are being imported are being
Yes.
And it was what's the name? It's a value chain.
Yes.
Sorry, you want to say something?
No, yeah, your audio is cutting in and out. So if you can stay in one spot, or I don't know, but your audio is cutting in and out.
Sorry about that. I think it's my network, but it should be fine now. So, as I was saying, for the food importation, they were talking about using our forex to buy food and the likes. But as I said, the food were being actually imported from Benin, and the forex being used to buy the food was actually from Benin, because there are people in Beninois that work with Nigerians. Actually, it's a two-way thing. They buy the food, they bring it to the border. Nigerians go with their naira, buy it from them. Secondly, they make mention of importation of cars, and I literally find that really bogus. I tried to find out more, and I found out that in Benin, if you buy a car, you don't. So even though you car, at the point of coming to get your plate number, you pay for your custom duty. This could have actually been implemented in Nigeria, and it would have saved the government a lot of, exchange rates. Because as of today, cars are still.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't want to talk much about it, but as that, there are a lot of cars. I've seen several. A lot of cars are still being illegally imported. For the land and also for the illegal weapons, that actually doesn't make sense because, as you rightly mentioned, nothing is smuggled into the land border in Nigeria without the custom not knowing. I don't know about that border, but you see that Semi and Iduroko, it's not possible. I don't know how you want to do it. It's not possible. So and it's really, really so sad because I remember last year I saw a woman complaining. She buys food farm commodities from.
Girls.
She takes it from Nigeria.
Hey girls, so could we do this? Could you could you get a good location, then you can call back, because you are cutting in out and you're seeing some important stuff, but you're cutting in and out, so you're breaking at yeah. If you could do that, then we could all yeah. If you can do that, that would give us a chance to basically appreciate what you're saying, because it's cutting in and out. Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
I do appreciate the angle of you giving us that on the ground take from the semi border, talking about the border closures, arguing that the issues were not as was painted by the government. It was a bad call. It was a bad decision to close the borders. Clearly. So I mean, thanks for giving us that, on the ground take. But I got what you sent via DM. Maybe I'll speak to you again via DM. My Kudi, Miss Invisible. How you doing? Guys, we've got about 15 minutes to round up. Thanks you all for hanging in there. Thanks for contributing. We're just talking. We're talking we want to have a better Nigeria. That's what we're speaking about. What did Buhari do well? What did he do bad? What were the missed opportunities? I've listed mine. I want you guys to tell me what you would have invested in if you had known Buhari was going to turn out the way he was. That's what I was going to get from you guys. Yeah, go ahead, ma'am. I can hear you. I can hear you. Go ahead.
All right, thank you very much. So talking about economic legacy, I don't even know if legacy and Buhari should be in the same sentence, because I don't think legacy means something negative. I think it means something positive, and I can't even think of anything positive that
not even one, not even one,
or even like generally. Okay, so let's talk about let's first of all, people are talking about the border closure and all. I don't really have much knowledge about that, but I'm going to talk about how some of the economic policies affected me directly. So, I think, hello, can you still hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Okay, so first of all, I think it was you, Kalu, that tweeted something like that when I think food importers, sugar, wheat, and some other food items were given FX at special rates, to try to regulate the prices when they come to sell in Nigeria. And I think you tweeted something like that. You didn't even get a lot of retweets or likes or anything. That was, I think, early last year or late 2021. And immediately I saw it, I said to myself, okay, this is going to really affect the prices of food stuff. And I even quoted it like, the consequences we're going to face from this is coming very soon. And it went over a lot of Nigerians' head. And then all of a sudden, people went to the market, and then spaghetti, and then bakeries were closing down, and sugar was very expensive. These are like staples that Nigerians eat. That was like the last affordable thing in the market for Nigerians, as it pertains to food. That was the last affordable. Bread, especially bread. It wasn't that affordable, but it wasn't as expensive as other food items that already tripled in price. So that one was like, it was so insensitive, because the people that are facing the brunt of that decision, I'll call it a decision because it wasn't exactly justified, so to speak. The people that are facing the brunt are the masses. People that are hustling day to day, like for daily bread, literally for daily bread, they're eating from hand to mouth. And then you are making what they are eating from their hand to their mouth smaller and smaller every time. There are people that have gone to bed hungry.
Are you still there? I think I lost her. Mike, if you can hear me, wait, I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know. Can anybody else hear me?
I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. So like, as I was saying, I said that policy was very insensitive and it wasn't exactly properly justified. Like people don't even understand why they have to pay that much for food like bread, for spaghetti, for sugar, even for eggs. Again, because according to the dealers, the feed, the imports, the special foreign exchange rate they give them and whatever was removed. And then the cost of feed, we also rare chicken. So the price just tripled from 1.5. Now a bag is about 8,000.
Wow.
Yes, a bag is 8,000 now for feed. Foul food.
8,000 naira for a bag of feed from 1,000 naira.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, 8,000 naira. That's the price of bag of rice in 2015. So I'm buying bag of chicken food now. So imagine how that's why your eggs are very expensive, because they have to feed the chickens for them to lay eggs. Wow. That's one of the major reasons why your eggs are very expensive. Before now, at least Nigerian households, they buy frozen chicken at least, let's say, once in a week or twice in a week to cook. Now nobody even goes there. Even for normal livestock, cow and goats, you can't even buy meats of 500 naira and expect to cook like a good pot of soup anymore. I'm talking about food because like the basic thing, people don't eat, they will die. And this administration has not cared whether we have been feeding or not. And something somebody said earlier about how if you move out of the big cities and go to the states, you see people.
Wow. You've gone off again. You've cut off big time. Let me move to I think I lost you. Let me ask you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Let me ask you a quick question. Yeah, I don't. You don't have to tell me. Yeah, but your what's your demographics like? Do you live in a family alone? What is your demographic?
Okay, I'm single and I live with my family.
So, like in terms of your budget for food, just in your household, right? How have you survived? Has your income gone up, or have you found a cheaper way to buy food? How have you guys survived from 2015 when inflation was?
Okay, so let me give you in terms of numbers, because I know you're a numbers guy. So in 2015, I got my first regular job, so to speak. Before now, I've been doing freelance. So I got my first regular job. I was being paid 75,000 naira. So when I go to the supermarket, I buy staples like spaghetti, sugar, noodles, stuff like that. And at the counter, my bill was usually between 12,000 to 15,000 naira. I can say this because many times I have my mark at 15,000. All I'm buying can exceed 15,000 because I plan my transport and other things for my salary. Now, as I'm talking to you now, if I want to do the same type of shopping, because I've already reduced the number of stuff I buy, with our quality of food has reduced in this house because of that. I don't spend anything less than 25,000 naira, and I don't even buy as much as I used to buy. I've cut out spaghetti. We barely eat spaghetti anymore. I've completely phased it out. I've cut out eggs. We barely eat eggs. Like before, I used to buy crates of eggs and keep at home. We barely eat eggs anymore. We want to buy like maybe once a week. I've cut out bread. We barely eat bread anymore because it's very expensive. So like once a week again. So everything that is on a schedule. So I used to spend like 15,000 naira on food stuff, but now I'm spending 25,000 naira. I'm not even eating as much. I'm putting everything on a schedule. And we're only, in my family, we are just three people. So imagine how people like full household of 4 or 5 are coping. And we don't even eat that much because we are women. So I don't have a brother.
So what do you do for protein?
That's another thing. So what we do usually, like I said, we schedule how we eat. So for the eggs, so we do eggs like once or twice a week at most. So what I do is I buy like half crates when I have money. If I don't have money, I can just say, okay, go and buy 6 eggs. We can just do yam and egg. But it's like once or twice a week. Before it used to be in the house, so we can eat like 1 egg a day. When we are cooking now, we do this. I don't know if you know this dried catfish. So we usually buy like, say, before Before we used to buy like 1 carton, sometimes 2, put in the sun, store for a long time. But now you buy like half carton or just a few, depending on what that month. Because sometimes some unexplained circumstances can come up and you need to spend money. That money has come out from your pocket. So it depends. Some months we can afford to buy half carton. So other months you can afford to buy just a few from the market. So mainly our protein comes from that dried fish and then eating eggs on a schedule. Then for meat and home, just it leads to like 500 or 1,000, which was not what it used to be before. We used to buy and store in the fridge.
So it's essentially survive by buying less and moving to substitutes more or less. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Yes.
No meat.
And that's like the story for a lot of Nigerian families today.
What about your income? Your income, did it go up? I mean, 2015, would you say you got income 2015 to 2023?
It actually went down because last year our salary was cut. That's why I had to leave my job because it didn't make any sense that my salary was cut and I was spending more to get to work because transport has also tripled. I was spending more to get to work. I was spending more on food. So I had to leave my job, because it didn't make any sense. And then I'm back to freelance, whatever I can get at any given point in time.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm
what kind of work do you do? Is it like, do you work for what kind of work?
Okay, so I was like a field customer service representative, right? Yeah. So we go on the field and we talk to people, inquiries, get data back from them also to upload to our database.
So someone is clapping for you. So okay. I don't know who that was. Was that like a salary job or like a commission? What was that?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Was that salaried or commission? What did you like have did you get a salary from that job?
Right. Yeah. It was I was placed on the salary. We were contract workers because it was, I don't know if you know, these electricity distribution companies were mandated to enumerate every customer under their purview.
Gotcha.
Right? So that was my job.
Do you mind sharing?
We also used us in other capacity, but that was what brought me to the company.
Okay, just by range.
After the project was over, they slashed salaries and it was just a whole lot of things anyways.
Gotcha, just by way of product of amount. How much you say?
You're breaking up. I don't know if it's me or you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to say, just by way of amount, how much are you earning? Is it below 10, below 20, below 30, below 40? What do you think you are earning? Oh my God, I don't lose you.
I didn't catch that, I'm sorry.
In terms of income, right? How much were you earning? Oh my God.
I can't hear you. Hello?
I'll send you a DM. Well, yeah, I'll send you a DM. Olumide, did you hear what she was saying? Olumide?
Yeah, I did. She said she can't hear you.
I know, but I'm just trying to say, did you hear her entire presentation? What she's earning, how she's substituting? Did you hear all that?
No. I only heard when she was talking about the 75,000, how she was surviving on and how she switched her jobs, but I didn't hear some of the breakups. But those parts.
Can you hear me? Oh, she's gone off. Yeah, she's gone off. I mean, you hear from her, right? And this is the same thing I hear from many people. That's even when I was doing the casual workers thing. This is the reason why I was doing that stuff. People are really, this is a well-spoken lady, so obviously went to school, can do enumeration, and she's surviving on buying eggs in bulk. No, they don't eat eggs, they don't eat bread, they don't eat this, they don't eat that. They're buying smoked fish, it's just man. So when you talk about a president coming into the country, this is what you want to do. You want to go and say, how can I make this girl's life better? She needs a job. The girl needs a job. That's the first. If you give her a job, you've solved 90% because now she can consume. Then she can go spend money. Even if the eggs are expensive, if she gets a job, she can buy the eggs. Then those farmers can actually get income, right? Then those farmers can actually now start to also send their own kids to school. So it's this whole cycle starting over again. But when you have a girl like this that cannot even afford to buy eggs or buy bread, so what are we milling the wheat for? No spaghetti. She's not eating spaghetti. Now, wow. Olumide Hoppy, what's up, man?
Good evening, Carl. Very
Oh,
interesting
wow.
conversation. I just wanted to also drop some my takes. Like you asked for legacy. I think I missed the negativities. I think one of the things that really that stood out was in transactions. If you look at from 2015 to 2017, POS transaction grew by more than 600%. Statistical data will say that from 2017, we had POS transactions just hovering at around 157 billion. Now it's over 600-700. So it tells you that we are seeing more transaction online, and that's some positive. We've seen the birth of more unicorns during that period. During that period, we saw the fact that Stripe was acquired, Paystack. We saw InterSwitch expanding more. We saw Futa getting the unicorn valuation. So those are the positive. But amidst that, it has been very negative. And I think one of the lessons the upcoming administration should learn, particularly for monetary policy, is that if they mistakenly employ a political state person as the next CBN governor, or we have a big finance minister, what happened to the Turkish lira will just be big. Because, first of all, we can see that the naira is already bleeding out in the black market, and also at the export exchange window, you will see that it went as low as 632. So it pretty much tells you that we need fiscal monetary direction. And also, lastly, I think one of the lessons that I've seen in this administration was that accountability and competence can really go a long way. We really had poor accountability in our monetary and fiscal sector. The oil sector was so damaged that the country barely made much from it, and that really is a shame. I think the president-elect should also learn from the President Buhari in terms of infrastructure development. It makes little sense when you create railways from Lagos to the north, where you have more aggressive trades in interchange. Why don't you build infrastructure based on your trade networks? You know, we often say that infrastructure in Nigeria is built by political patronage. These things have to change. You have to bring in the trust, and that is where it's lacking. But you know, before I drop the mic, I'll just say that it's very difficult for me to see how Bola Tinubu will be able to mitigate this pressure, because 70% of the country didn't vote for him. You could see so much bitterness. So that's my major fear on how it's going to stay. But I think he has to reach out. He has to reach out to the opposition. He has no choice. He has to ensure an inclusive government, and he has to weed out all these politicians that have held the economic parameters of the country hostage.
Yeah, I mean, good point, Olumi. Thanks for bringing out those few nuggets. You know, the cashless banking side, the growth of the e-tech, e-telecom, and the unicorn. That has been one of the positives of the administration. You know, that we'll be able to try to at least address that. So good point on the board for Buhari on that. But you've also made the point about the infrastructure, building trains to nowhere, right? The one that they went, the Itakbe Warri train, yeah, I see, but that thing was built for iron ore. We shouldn't have really spent money to convert that into a commercial railway. Where is it going to? Where is it really going to? You know, where is it going to? Where's the economic output in that railway? That money should have maybe be used even to do the Lagos-Ibadan, or to expand Lagos-Ibadan, maybe take it further north, where there's a bit of economic activity. We have to deploy capital better. Then the last point I'm making about going forward, you know, the president-elect, again, I made it, this is the third time I'm making this point again. You know, many people didn't vote for him. Nigeria does +1 winner. That means if two people in Nigeria vote, as long as you get +1, you've won. Unlike other democracies where you have to at least score a minimum number, right? I mean, US is 270 electoral college. You have to win some states. Here, you know, the gentleman that is winning, I saw a crazy stat. Less than 5% of registered voters voted for Tinubu. Less than 5%. It was a crazy number. But what they're saying that the total number of registered voters in Nigeria, if you look at the pool that voted for the president-elect, it's less than 5% or something crazy like that. So that tells you that, man, when you come into office, you can't afford to do, these people are 5% of 97%, or these people did not vote for me. You don't have that luxury. You have to come in from your cabinet, set the tone. People should see your cabinet and now this guy is here to work. And I'm telling him, you know, all this, there are people that win elections for you. Give them their due. Their job is to win you elections. Their job has ended. Now you need people that can win you an economy. So go and get a different set of advisors. Don't make the mistake of carrying people that have abused people doing elections and making them minister of something. Because already there's bad blood there. Then the CBN governor, like Olumide has said, the CBN governor, the Minister of Finance, I know there's a temptation because Emefiele has shown that the CBN is an ATM. There's a temptation to say you want to appoint your own guy there. But if you do that, people lose trust and faith in the Naira. Why would I keep money in Naira when tomorrow the new president can borrow 100 trillion in Naira from the CBN governor? So I won't keep my money in Naira. And if I don't do that, it affects the Naira value. So get professionals. No, you have 4 years to cement an impact, and it's more than enough time. It's an easy thing to fix. That's what I would think. Olumide, thanks for making that call. May is back. May, I was going to ask you a few questions. I don't know if you can hear me now.
Yeah, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what you are earning in terms of what's your income. Is it below 10, below 20, below 30, below 40, below 50? Just give me like that. What were you earning, if you can, that is?
Wait, was it before or now?
What was the highest income you earned from 2015 till 2023?
Okay, so like I said, my salary then was 75K, and it did not change from then till when I left last year. It did not change, no bonuses or anything. It was the same from that time.
Yeah, and this is the point I made. I was trying to make all week that there's a huge number of young people in Nigeria earning below. Do you know how much 12,000 is in dollars? That's $3 a day. I think it's $3 a day, or something like that. Yeah, $3 a day. The poverty benchmark internationally is $2 a day. So they're paying you an extra $1 a day. And like you said, you have to go pay transportation just to go there. And what was your highest education level?
I have a BSc in mathematics.
Man. So you're a BSc math holder earning less than $3 a month or a day. I hope someone's going to take your DM and send you a job. I really hope those guys are listening, or those leaders. Please, if you have an opening, she's a BSc math graduate. I think she's pretty. If you could, I don't know. I would appreciate if someone would reach out to you. Just offer you a job and see. I think you can do it.
Yes, I would like that. Thank you very much. I'm also a writer and a researcher. I have worked as a writer and researcher also in those designations. So if you have any jobs like that, my DM is open. Thank you very much.
Okay. Crazy country. This is Nigeria. This is the rubber meets the road Nigeria. BSc math holder earning less than $3 a month in an economy that is spending $5 billion to build a library at the National Assembly. I don't know. Adete, how are you, sir? Adetayo George.
Good evening. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd just like to address the lead because I'd just like to address our issue. Because I don't think all of us should be like our opinions not face one side. So, do you have side hustles? Like,
hold on. Her reality is her reality. So, yeah, I know. But so don't address her. Let's do the economy. Leave her alone. Her reality is her reality.
What I would just like to say is people's lack of creativity or lack of adaptation to a particular economy they find themselves is not necessarily the true reflection of the economy itself. She was saying something about earnings on five.
That is very insensitive of you, sir, and I would like you to refrain from your whole sentence. Just don't complete it. Just like you said, address me. Talk about the topic of the space or whatever, because I'm not even going to go into the details of what my life has been. And this is not even about me anymore. It's not about me anymore. There are dozens of people that are working with me, My colleagues at one time were up to 1,000 people, and they also share my reality. So whatever you're saying right now, it's talking about those people. So please, that is very, very insensitive. You have no idea what you're talking about, and I would like you to refrain from that thought. And
but my opinions are my opinion. So
your opinions about my life are not valid, and they're not even your opinions.
Adeta, you don't know her. You don't know her, right? I don't know her.
No, I don't know her.
But I mean, but the point she's making are not. We don't have to know her.
Okay,
all of last week we talked about Adetayo. All of last week we talked about low earning professionals in Nigeria. 100,000 naira. Let's take 100,000 naira. What is 100,000 naira? Let's use the official rate, not the black market rate. Let's use Yeah. So when you say that, you are saying side hustle.
What I'm saying is, for somebody that went to school as a PSC, and then you get into the labor market, and you're earning 75,000 from 2015 to 2022. That's 7 good years.
She's saying what she was paid officially. She's not saying her hustle. She's already told you her hustle, Adetayo. No, Adetayo, she's saying what she was paid officially. Adetayo, hang on. She's telling you on her profile is her hustle. She's mentioned her hustle here. She's telling you that officially she was paid the same amount of money, i.e. the wage growth. That's what she's referencing. You don't know her, and it's unfair to put her on the spot and say, what have you done, what have you done? Do you know what other people are doing? So let's even move on. Let's just move on. Yeah, like I said before, in Nigeria, you are poor if you are honest. You don't know her. So, I mean, if you want to comment on Nigeria, we're talking about the president, let's talk about that, but let's not, make it a personal thing. Parker, I've got you, sir. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Kalu, for giving me this opportunity to speak. Well, I would like to reference the topic and not an individual like the last speaker has done. Truth be told, a lot of things have happened in this country this past 8 years of the Buhari government, which several speakers have highlighted. Some speakers haven't given you real life data. Most of them have spoken from the side of those in the private sector. I want to speak from the side of those in the public sector. And I want to make one specific statement. We used to have the rich, the middle class, and the poor. I want to add one more class to that. We now have the working poor. There are a lot of people who are working in this country, actively working. It's not like they are not creative. They are creative. There's no way you want to push them to that they cannot survive or stand out. We have such persons. But every day, the cost of things are rising. And like we have rightly said here, income is not increasing. And it's a general problem. I understand that the Buhari government escalated it, just like some other speakers have said that it was there even before now. We did nothing about it. It is a multifaceted problem in itself. Number one, we have the economic side of it. Number two, we have the political side of it. Number three, we have the individual side of which is where the individual citizens come in. For example, if you look at the agro sector, like we have said, the borders were closed just without excuse. We want to develop our agro sector. But we forgot the fact that we had insecurity hanging on our neck. And there's no way you can go to farm due to insecurity. I am in Niger State. I also farm. I have a cooperative that farms. And our size of farm keep decreasing by the year. Why? You can't go into the bush because you are scared so that they don't kidnap you. And that's a lot of loss for us because now it's a loss on all sides. We are not making good money. Those that are in our employ, the locals, the farmers that normally support in these farm processes are also losing their jobs. Just like you mentioned, Kalu, those in the localities don't have currency. They live by the day. They go to the farm, they either farm in their backyard or they go further into the bush and farm. They eat what they farm. If there is a ceremony, like you have mentioned before, they just pick a bag or two of whatever produce they have, go to the market, sell it, raise cash, do that ceremony, and they are out of it. But now, there's a whole lot that this government really didn't do well at all, most especially economically. We didn't do well at all. Next thing is politically, we also didn't do well at all. The incoming government need to check the issue of, like you just rightly mentioned recently, the issue of appointing people just because they worked for you during the election. If you appoint people just because they work for you during the election, they take it as a birthright. And at the end of the day, they will not deliver. So if you have a mandate and a blueprint of how you want to change things, appoint people that you know have the technical skills and the technical know-how in those areas and those sectors, so that we can, the positive effect can spread. Economics is simple. One man spending is another man earning. That's just the way it goes. If I don't spend, you don't earn. And as long as I don't spend and you don't earn, the system just stands still. So it's a circle. People are working, but the value of the money that they earn is decreasing. The cost of food is increasing. There was one hope I had for this Buhari government, which is the issue of subsidy. For me, subsidy is a fraud. That's the way I've seen it right from time. But if you want to discuss that, a lot of people have different opinions. If you are telling me that you are subsidizing petroleum products because I am poor and I can't afford to pay the full price of a liter of fuel, go to the locality, the people you call poor who are in the locality. How many of them have cars? How many of them have bikes? In the locality here in Nigeria where I am, the highest thing is bike, motorbike, motorcycle. Those that have motorcycles here, if you go to the filling station and take the statistics, they don't buy more than 1-2 liter at a time. So if they are buying 1-2 liter at a time, they should be able to pick up the cost for that 1-2 liter. Now, I'm not saying that the idea of subsidizing the product for them is wrong. No, it is not. And like a lot of us have also mentioned, we have a spending problem. We spend to suit ourselves. If you go, some people are calling it the National Assembly. The National Assembly is the biggest problem we have. You don't go to the National Assembly and get anything approved without spending money. Are we supposed to go there and spend money to get things approved? Or they are supposed to be check for us? They can't check the executive. Why? Because whatever the executive brings to them, funds are being distributed. So it's going to be approved definitely. So that's the challenge. We have a lot of young graduates that don't have jobs. Because why? The rate at which new jobs are created is slow. Doing business is difficult and expensive in Nigeria. That's why we always fall back to importing. So if we really want things to grow, it's a three-phased issue. Number one, the leaders have to not just give us body language, do the right thing. That's the first thing. So the president-elect needs to take that into consideration with his appointment and with his policies. That's one. Number two, economic side of it. Whatever decisions and choices we want to make, whatever costs we want to incur, these costs should be able to give us good economic value. They should be able to raise people out of poverty. If transactions are seamless, just like we want them to be, a lot of these things we want to be fixed will be fixed. When you give people road projects,
all right, Parker,
and it's just like,
we're gonna round up so I can let others get in here. Thank you.
All right, no problem. Let me just call it a wrap. I'll end by saying this: the citizens themselves should do well at their individual level, because change, like they say, starts from us. That's one. Nobody is better than the other. If you are opportune to have a better economic situation, does not mean that others don't have sense or they are not creative. That's one.
All right, Paka, we're gonna end it. Buhari, you gotta talk to your mind. Buhari.
Real quick. Thanks, Carlo. Just a few thoughts to share before I imagine we're about rounding off. Again, my attempt to broaden the conversation and broaden our thinking. There is a global cost of living crisis. Even advanced countries that have much more robust economies than ours are going through it. For those of us who are privileged to travel or spend some time in other countries, the average man, on the street is not having a good time. So this is not to exonerate the Buhari government, not at all, but we must have perspective. And I like to say that when you have perspective, it gives you a better chance of solving the actual problems that you are going through. So I thought to mention that. The second thing I wanted to mention is that, yes, there's a lot of talk about true federalism and restructuring and all of those conversations. But be that as it may, the state and the state leaderships in Nigeria have a lot of blame to take for the current realities today. And we must keep that in mind. Again, I'm not a Buhari apologist. I just like us to have real conversations and see things as broadly as possible, right? We need to start to hold our state governments accountable. We can't put it all on the federal government. Yes, there are some decisions that are federal in nature and the outcomes are negative. We will hold the federal government responsible for that. But let's be real, the state government, we need to hold them responsible because a lot of what we're talking about can be resolved at that level to a large extent.
All right, good call. All right, real quick.
Want to say something, Carl?
No, real quick. Just want to make you real quick.
Oh yeah, okay, sorry. I'll just finish up by saying that because somebody said something that really caught my attention. You build flyovers, you build bridges, you build infrastructure. What is happening to the man on the ground, the average man? And this is the missing link that because Nigeria, we have a really long history of not knowing how to create wealth, and the cost is oil. Sorry, I work in the industry, but that thing is a curse to this country because we just dig it and we sell it. My friends say dig, sell, share. There's nothing inherently productive at scale about that industry. Look at how many people the oil industry in Nigeria employs. It's a dismally small figure compared to our population. What am I saying here? Nigeria we need to develop a culture afresh of creating wealth. When that is at the back of our minds, then the conversations change. Then you build infrastructure for the purpose of making it easier for people to create wealth. When they create that wealth, you can then tax them fairly and transparently, get money for government to provide public goods that make their lives easier, and then they can create even more wealth. But at the end of the day, it's about the man on the street being able to create wealth. So you build a railway from Lagos to Ibadan, and it's a great thing. But you will notice that there's no urgency about that infrastructure investment. All the shops in the stations are empty. Again, for Ibadan, for instance, those stations, if you look at the road leading to the station, there's a last stretch leading to Monia Station. The Ibadan state governor has refused to do that stretch, unless he has done it recently. The station at Omeadio, horrible road. Yeah? So you have infrastructure reaching your state that should bring tourism. Tourism is jobs that should carry farm produce. Farm produce is reducing inflation. These are things that is how infrastructure translates into wealth building. But we just drop the ball. We don't understand the concept of creating wealth from bottom up as a country. And these are the things we need to change. And that's it for me. Thanks.
All right, super. Thanks, Blani, for giving that insight. Oil employs very little, no skill involved. It's quote unquote lazy-ish. So we just get it spending and move on. Kolawole Awisu with the 10. I love that currency, man, on your buy. I used to have it. Kolawole, what's up? You got the floor? Guys, I'm going to shut this down, yeah? Kolawole, go for it. Can you hear me? All right, let's Len P, Len Poles. I got you up. What's up? Hope they can hear me. Len Poles. I did tell you, did you want to make a comment with, just on your own power, sir?
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
The only part I want to talk about is just this Naira effect that you can't spend your card like abroad. When I came to Turkey that time, my Nigerian TV card could spend at least $100. So, so then I was even happy that at least in the mall, I will just use my card to pay for something. And the thing was so cheap. It was like it was the exchange rate was so cheap to me that if I had $1,000 in my card, I'll be using it. But what's the problem? Why? Please, can you explain to me why Nigerian government is reducing the rate? Now you can't even use your card. You can't use your card abroad. Now you have to always go to African store to sell them your naira. They will now give you like black market rate. Meanwhile, you would have just used your card to pay for anything you want to buy abroad. Then when you even end abroad, you can save back in your like naira account. Please can you explain why they are reducing? Because that's the question I've always tried to ask.
Yeah, because the money on your naira card is CBN dollar. The dollar on your naira card is the CBN dollar, and CBN has no dollar. That's why. It's very simple. So when in the past, when you go abroad and you spend, that's because your foreign reserves were a lot. So you could spend the CBN. It's not just. I know you're.
So, now we are spending double because we have to go to African stores.
I hear you, sir. I'm gonna explain to you so that what's happening is that when you have dollars, when you take your dollars into Nigeria, into your DOM account, and you get the card, it's not your dollars from your DOM account you are really spending. You are spending the Central Bank of Nigeria's money in America. It's like they are the ones that are paying, even though your money is here. So when the central bank has no dollar cash, the banks in Nigeria have got to reduce how much you can spend because they can only get that dollar by buying from the FX market. So if they
can only spend, I think it's $20. Even if you try $20, it won't even work.
We're saying the same thing. That's because the CBN has less dollars available for you to spend. The reserves are down, hence you have lower dollars to spend. That's the reason why. Hope that explains it, sir.
Yes, thank you. That's just my problem because I just feel that.
All right.
That's what is causing these black market rates.
No, the black market rate is the real rate, not the CBN rate. The CBN is what we call the fiat rate, the government rate. That's not the real rate. In any economy, when you see a black market rate, that black market rate is the real market-driven rate. The CBN rate is the rate that the government wants to buy your dollars and sell you dollars. But you see, they cannot do it because they can't pay.
Like most of your posts, I follow your posts well and learn a lot from it. That is the only question I've been having in my mind.
Gotcha.
As like making us spend up. Now I understand that.
Excellent. Good to know, sir.
The black market rate is the real rate. I now understand.
All right, sir. Now. All right. Thank you so much, Len. I got you. Udoka, I've got you. Okoeze too. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, good evening, no?
Yeah, hi. How you doing, sir?
I just joined not long ago. Mr. Carlo, thank you for having me on this space and also for financial information you've been dishing out on Twitter. All right. Just to make a little comment, I quite agree with what Buhari was said about holding state governments accountable, so to say. Because if the states were doing well on their own, majority of the things we are seeing today, at least from 1999, most of the things would have changed. But the state performance has been almost zero, probably 5 to 10% over 100%. Okay? And also again, Bolarinwa, when you look at the exclusive list as well, you realize that there are so many things piled up in the exclusive list, of which if some of those things are being released out so that states can participate in such infrastructure, it will go a long way to help. Just like the recent one of I think the seaport, railway, and the rest of them. So if such things are done regularly, it will help the states to also build up in terms of infrastructure and then have economic design for the states. Then your first response was about the increase in cost of living across the globe. I quite agree with you. There is an increase in energy costs across the globe. But let's not forget, like we normally hinge it about COVID and the rest of things. Let's not forget that this government came into power before COVID came. I'm actually in Nigeria and I'm in the health sector. Okay, we deal with medical equipment and all of that. I can shock you, my brother. Equipment we used to buy $14,000. Just of recent, in the issue of COVID, it increased by $1,000 to about $15,000. Okay, that equipment, 2014, 2015, we sold those instruments to NCDC, and we're even begging some of the laboratories and hospitals to get them at 4.5 million. Today, as at 2017, 2018, that instrument is 18,950,000, and we will not give it to you to pay on installment basis. But 2014, 2015, you could take that instrument and have like 6 months to 12 months to pay 4.5 million. What happened? The exchange rate. So if you multiply the 15 million by the $15,000 by 730 naira, we source dollar from the parallel market, and then do a 40% clearing, freight clearing and local logistics, then a markup or a profit margin of about 1.5 to 3 million is what you're going to have on it. So this present government performance economically is almost zero. It impacted us negatively. Okay, so when you go to market and you see these things, you realize that a lot of things went wrong. The global influence, we agree. But when you check the rate of increment of items, like as I just mentioned, from $14,000 to $15,000, that's about $1,000 difference. So when you do the percentage, you realize that the things that were sold at maybe $4, at what rate it increased, maybe to 5 or to 6. But ours just went astronomically high because few things that were supposed to be in place were not put in place. Who are the people in charge of the economy? What are the policies that are being rolled out? At the end of the day, these policies falls back on Nigerians. And we all have the baggage and have all the effects. Like this other guy made mention of, people who go to farm or who are farmers no longer go to farm. So borders were closed. Where do we cultivate this rice? If banditry is ongoing, kidnapping is on increase, who then will go to farm to be able to get this rice produced, to be able to get the cassava, to be able to get the yam? Even in some cases, you may finish planting and the fear of going there for harvest will be another thing. So the impact has been greatly felt. And I'm wondering if there will ever be a reversal, because our economy is almost like, we used to say in school that it's a mixed economy. But the whole basis revolves around the oil. We are unable to put things in place that will help in turn generate revenue. So the states should be held accountable. They should be able to do better. The state government should be able to do better. And then the federal government that is in charge of managing the economy should also up their game. Put the right people in place. Okay? Like as I used to say, maybe in discussions, that most times it's not just about the leader. Who was this leader before he or she became a leader? He was once a normal or ordinary Nigerian with a character which is known. And then he becomes a leader and you suddenly want that individual to change overnight. No. This is a character and individual.
We're going to round up. We're going to round up.
On this life. Okay, so having the right people in the right place of leadership will help us to turn around things.
All right, thanks, Udoka.
Thank you.
All right, guys, so we're going to round up in about 5 minutes. Let's just get Ayodeji and we'll get Idi Emi and then we'll cut a wrap. Thanks so much. Ayodeji, you've got the floor. Ayodeji, you've got the floor, sir. Going once, going twice. Idi Emi. Let's see. Idi Emi. Go ahead, sir, if you can hear me. Mr. Idi Emi? All right, it seems he cannot hear me. Let's get Harry Luba. Harry Luba, third time's a try. Harry Luba. All right, sorry about that, guys. Seems that you guys can hear me. So let's wind it down. 1:36 p.m. over here. Let me look at the time in Nigeria, about 9:36, guys. We'll be here since 7 o'clock. We're just trying to talk about all we are trying to do, really, right, is to x-ray what Buhari has done well and has done poorly. I gave mine at the very, very top. The capital control that they did, the paying fuel subsidy, even the border closure. And I said, if I had my way, if I knew what I knew now, I'd just simply have bought dollars. Don't buy any stock, just have bought dollars and just waited for them. So when they devalued Naira, I'd have made a lot of money. That's for me. Lumida has given us some very, very good insights into the positives of the administration, i.e. the fintech revolution, the e-Naira, all that IT side of the equation was done rather well in Nigeria in the last 8 years. The insecurity has not gone down. The economy has not improved. I mean, we had a young lady here talk about her own experiences. That's the story of really a lot of Nigerians. Tough economy for them, right? So we are doing this because we're trying to lay a template down and hope that the incoming guy, whoever it is, we know it's going to be Bola Tinubu is going to be sworn in also, can, start the whole economic journey on the right footing. We are asking for, number one, speed. Be very, very quick, but deliberate. Be very quick in appointing a cabinet and giving them their terms of reference and what you want from them. Be very, very quick to do that. Number two, build confidence. Build confidence by telegraphing to Nigeria from your appointment that you are going to be the president for all, including those that did not vote for you. You need the entire economy to work so that you, the president, can perform. You cannot run that risk again of taking one entire region and saying, these people are 5%, did not vote for me, so I will not do any projects there. You need to be able to run the country like a company. There's capital to be deployed according to where you would get returns, right? So that way the country can grow and you can then get tax revenues to pay down all the negative deficits that have been created for you. So number one is speed. Number two is competence. And number three, bring back rule of law. People no longer trust the government. People no longer trust the Senate. They don't trust the judges. They don't trust what government says. There's a big trust deficit. I think you should bring it back. Let things happen because they are supposed to happen. Let's understand that the state has power and the state can protect you, defend you, and make things happen. We shouldn't have bandits in Nigeria for one day longer. We shouldn't have it. When we have bandits, it just means there's no state. You can't be the one breath talking about unicorns and the other breath talking about bandits. How? So I think that security should be the first thing they should just take. Just take those guys completely out. Erase that from the scene. That would help agriculture. That would help inflation. That would get Nigerians behind you. Every Nigerian wants peace. Every Nigerian wants to progress. So if you see that you want to do that, they'll support you. So do the quick wins. Do the wins that Nigerians can get behind you on, and then things start to look better for you. We all want the country to succeed. All of us in our own way. We want the country to succeed. So you have that going for you. On that note, guys, let me let you guys go and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Next weekend, again, we'll be back. I will then take more of our economic topics as well. And I wish you guys the very best. Last thing, just to plug my book as well. Guys, I always do stick on the personal finance side, and I did write a book. It's available on Amazon. Let's Talk About Your Money. Do get it. It's an excellent read, excellent gift as well. If you do get it, I think it will bless you. It's a great investment you can make for 2023 as well. On that note, guys, thanks for dropping by and spending time with me. Wish you the best. Take care and bye.